12, 2006, and we are in City Council chambers, also known as John Ferraro chambers, here in room 340 of City Hall. We invite members of the public to come down here to testify on items of general concern that are not on our agenda, or items that are on our agenda that have been noticed for public hearing. We also invite folks to come down to our remote facility in Van Nuys, where they can testify via remote and we can be listened to. I know we have a speaker card already out there in Van Nuys. We can also be watched not only on Channel 35, as I mentioned, but also through our city's homepage at www.lacity.org, where we have live streaming webcasts of our council meetings. And you can also call our council phone, which is a service you can listen to our council meetings and our committee meetings at 213-621-CITY. We have right now 9 members of the City Council. We are awaiting a quorum, or 2/3, which is 10 members. I want to thank council members Cardenas, Gruhl, Huizar, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, and Weiss for being here in a timely fashion. I'd like to ask Councilmember Hahn, Councilmember Padilla, Councilmember Rosendahl, Councilmember Smith, and Councilmember Wesson to make their way down here. Councilmember Zine is excused for today. Colleagues, as soon as we do have a quorum, we'll run through the agenda. We're going to open up public comments on one of the items that has been continued to allow Cardinal Mahoney to speak this morning to us, and then we will return, as we usually do on Fridays, to our presentations, and we'll take up that item later in the agenda as well. So as soon as we have a 10th member, we will begin the meeting. Now with Mr. Padilla here, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, Huizar, Labange, Padilla, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Reyes moves and Mr. Padilla seconds. If there's no objection, those are unanimously approved.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Labange moves, Mr. Parks seconds. If there's no objection, that too is unanimously approved. Next.
On
items.
the regular agenda, Mr. President, item number 1 is an item notice for public hearing, and that is presentation of the Budget and Finance Committee report.
Okay, let's call that special.
Next items are also public hearing items 2 through 10. They are ordinances for street lighting districts, and I believe 12 members will be present today. Do you wish to hold those?
Let's hold those on the desk till we have 12 members.
Next items are items 11 through 16, and those are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, colleagues, any specials, items 11 through 16? Seeing none. Mr. Labange? Of course. Hold on one second. Just want to make sure we can hear you. Mr. Labange's microphone, please. Go ahead, Mr. Labange.
The item the police department had here Wednesday, I think it was 37, was it, there on it, related to the venues and working. Remember that, Madam Clerk?
The immigration matter?
No. The one on when the police officers were here for
Yes.
the movies, and that item was 37?
It was 13.
13. I ran into the director of the Hollywood Bowl, and he had never been consulted by a police commission, and I'm going to call the police commission. I may ask for reconsideration at another date on that, because they were not consulted at all on this.
Today would be the last day for you to reconsider that.
I know, I'm going to,
Okay.
when can I ask for
At
reconsideration?
any time during this meeting, if you'd like to.
Anytime during the meeting, so I have a little time to make calls.
You do.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is Harry Ito here?
So we have before us 11 through 16. Are there any specials? Yes, Mr. Parks.
Mr. President, I have to be recused on 16 and 17 because they both deal with a issue of police pensions.
Okay, we will put those as special so we can make sure that you're recused for those. Any other specials, colleagues? Or any other items? If not, for 11 through 15, if we can please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote. We have the volume on the... Okay, great. Thank you. Those are approved. Next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held, items 17 through 37. 10 votes are required for consideration, and I believe 17 has already been called special.
Yes, and we have cards on that. Colleagues, 18 through 37, are there any other specials folks would like? Any other specials? If
And
not,
Mr. President, item number 18 is an ordinance.
yeah,
Do you wish
let's
to
hold that until we have 12 members. So 19 through 37, colleagues, if no one wishes to call those special, let's open the roll on the balance.
Mr. President, I believe there's a card on item number 29 that's just being turned in.
29, okay. Let's call 29
and
special for cards as well.
32 and 34?
32 and 34. Okay. So on the balance, let's prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11
11
ayes.
ayes. Okay, those are approved. Next items, please.
Next item, Mr. President, on the continued agenda is item number 38.
Okay, item number 38 is before us. I will move that we reopen public comment on item 38 to take in the testimony of Cardinal Mahoney. At this time, colleagues, if I could please ask you to direct your attention, and Mr. Cardinal Mahoney, if you'd like to come to the podium, we would be happy to take your testimony. And welcome to City Hall, and thank you for coming down here this morning.
Thank you very much, President Garcetti and members of the City Council. We are at a very important moment historically, both in our city as well as the United States, as we try to wrestle with the tremendous problem of illegal immigration in our country. For the last 20 years, we have failed to have in place a mechanism whereby people can come here in an orderly fashion to work and to be on a path towards citizenship. Yesterday, you all heard the news that the Senate has reached an agreement between the majority and minority leadership on a process that hopefully will give us a new law from the Senate, a new bill from the Senate by Memorial Day. So I would like to support very strongly the efforts of the City Council. We are the great immigrant city of the United States today, and it would be extremely helpful to have this council go on record in support of immigration reform that is just, humane, and fair. And particularly to make sure that we don't have a bill that has negative and punitive provisions which tend to criminalize undocumented peoples in this country. So I just rise to offer my support for a comprehensive bill that has all of the elements. They've been outlined in your special report from your legislative analyst, and those are all very healthy and very good recommendations. But we have to be careful that the conference committee that will come next is going to be one that gives us the kind of law that is going to help our people here today as well as the people in the future. So I just take this time to thank the City Council for your efforts and to endorse your efforts to pass this kind of bill.
Thank you very much, Alderman Mahoney. We will be returning to the agenda, but we do have two members. We will be returning to this item as well, but in response, Mr. Reyes and Mr. Rosendahl, if you'd like to make some brief comments.
Thank you, Council President. I just rise to thank His Eminence for being here with us, knowing what a hectic and busy schedule we have today, and the fact that hundreds of thousands of people who have been showing their support for the very same message that you're giving us. There should be a just and humane society, that we should not criminalize people for helping others, and that you give us a sense where today we have been marching with our feet, but tomorrow we will show our presence with our vote, and will hopefully invigorate a much healthier environment for people to participate in the democratic process. Thank you so much for your hard work.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Excellency, I'm delighted that you came here to our council today. That shows real leadership and a real shepherd of his flock, that you come before us to talk about an issue that is as significant a civil rights issue in the 21st century as any issue can be. There are 11 to 15 million people in the United States that are living in the shadow. They should be brought out of the shadow, they should be given their dignity, and they should be given a path to citizenship. And we respect you for bringing that message. I know it isn't easy. I have taken some flack on this position as well. But we are a nation of immigrants. We all came from somewhere. That's the strength of our great nation is that we've come with dreams to the country of dreams. And all of the folks that are here now are part of America, the fabric that makes this a great nation. And to give them citizenship and a path to citizenship is the right thing to do. And God bless you, Your Excellency, for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Labange, followed by Mr. Huizar.
Oh, thank you very much, Your Eminence, Cardinal Roger Mahoney from St. Charles of North Hollywood, where's your home parish in Los Angeles. Is that correct? And all the way to Cardinal of Los Angeles, thank you. And those who stood with you this morning, who organized a tremendous event on May 1st that was well attended by many, many people, and a message out. I think what the point that's so important as we look is a homily of once that the Cardinal spoke at the cathedral is that you need two things in life. You need water and relationships. Is that correct there, Cardinal, when you spoke of about 6 months ago? And we know water for the body to grow, but relationships. And for the 12 million people who are in this country, and for all the people in this room, we look at you, you're Angelinos. You're here in this great city hall, this great council chambers named after John Ferraro. And it's the relationships you have with the city that is so important for us to be successful. And now we have to build a relationship with all people have with this country and make sure that we do have the proper order on the border, the proper relationships with Canada and Mexico and North America, but make sure we do have a path for immigration, as Mr. Rosendahl spoke of and Mr. Reyes spoke of, a path, because I think of all the immigrants who went before, and my mother, who came from a family of 11, who told us, and I come from a family of 8, don't be shanty Irish. Make sure that you do what you do in a right way, and I remember that all my life growing up, and as we proceed, all the immigrants who've come here, I like to think of William Mulholland, who came from Ireland, who figured a way, with the help of many people of all different backgrounds, to build a water system that fed the Pueblo. Because this year, Los Angeles will be 225 years old, when the original Los Pobladores walked 9 miles from the Mission San Gabriel to the banks of the Los Angeles River. Water and relationships. Anyway, Carl, it's good to see you and those who are all around you, and it's good to be able to preach once to you, as you preach often to all of us. God bless you, and God bless Los Angeles and the United States.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Labange, that reminded me when I heard the buzzer that the Cardinals' time was up. That just didn't seem right. We've got to change that. But there's much more to say on this issue, and I'll reserve my comments when the issue comes up for discussion today. But I do want to thank the Cardinal for being here today and for lending your voice to this very important issue and bringing a human element to it. When I heard you on the news, when I read about what you were saying in the newspaper, people started to focus on the human element and some of the suffering that goes on with this issue. So thank you for doing that. I believe that your voice and the marches that have been occurring throughout the country really shifted the debate to a more rational one. When we were just talking about criminalization, when we were just demonizing, and we're not looking at these people as humans, but as objects that are affecting us in a negative way. But now the debate has shifted thanks to you and to all the organizers who are making this a human issue throughout the country. As an immigrant myself, I certainly can appreciate what we're doing here today, to look at the positive contributions, to find a way to include in the dialogue these millions of people that need to have a voice at the table. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huizar. Thank you very much to the Cardinal and others that have been here today to speak on this item. Madam Clerk, open the roll on this item. Nope. We're just going to take testimony now. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. We will now move to presentations. Again, thank you for the speakers that were here on that item, and acknowledge our Council President, Eric Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And I'd like all of the pioneer women to come join me here, as well as some of our representatives from the Commission on the Status of Women. Colleagues, we're going to try something a little different this year, but good and disciplined, in which we have Channel 35 set up in the back for longer interviews and profiles of each one of these tremendous women that we are honoring here from each of the 15 council districts as part of one of the proudest traditions we have here in the city of Los Angeles, something that we've done since 1988 with the Los Angeles City Commission on the Status of Women, in which we celebrate pioneer women, individuals in each one of our districts who have touched, blessed, impacted the communities they live in. And what we're going to ask, because I know we all have flowers here as well, is I'm going to give a little background on what we've done. We're going to ask a president of a commission to read the names of the individuals, and we're going to ask each council member to say 30 seconds, and we're going to keep it to 30 seconds because there's an opportunity in the back to have longer profiles for everybody. We know in the past this has sometimes turned into a wonderful 45-minute celebration, but we're going to do just a brief introduction, and we'd ask each council member to come and present his or her flowers to their pioneer woman as well. So with that, I wanted to just briefly give a little bit of the history. As I mentioned, since 1988, we've had this incredible tradition of celebrating women whose passion, commitment, and actions have radically changed the face of Los Angeles and the communities that we all represent. The contributions of the women behind me should never be underestimated, and they represent the contributions of millions of women every single day in this city. We see these contributions in schools and businesses, churches and synagogues. And the women that we celebrate here today impact our lives in each one of those places. Their commitment, their tireless effort to the community and to the city is what makes Los Angeles great. And each have gone above and beyond the call of duty, making sure that they are not just the average volunteer, the average citizen, the average resident, but the extraordinary resident, the supernatural activist, the folks who have been able to not only bring people together, but to achieve often what we see in each one of our communities and think is impossible and made it possible. So with that, I will not read, but I'm going to ask Leslie Ortiz, who is our president of the Commission on the Status of Women, to read their names, and then we will go straight down, starting with Mr. Cardenas, and we will have each member say 30 seconds about their pioneer woman and present them with some flowers. So please welcome our president.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you, President Garcetti. To President Pro Tem Gruhl and the most honorable and distinguished members of the City Council, good morning. It is my pleasure to read the names of our distinguished women who are truly pioneers, trailblazers, and represent the best of finer womanhood for the year 2006. From Council District 1, Susana Arreguen. From Council District 2, Mary Lou Poza. Council District 3, Jean Yap. Council District 4, Adrian Alpert. Council District 5, Maria Altman. Council District 6, Kathleen Adams. Council District 7, Amelia D. Herrera Robles. Council District 8, Maggie Feiner. Council District 9, Sugey Reyes Cepeda. Council District 10, Stevie Stern Lazarus. Council District 11, Francis Strong. Council District 12, Elizabeth Waldo Densel. Council District 13, Barbara Lass. Council District 14, Patricia Cheba Reza. And Council District, she brought her cheering squad. Council District 15, Camila Townsend. Please welcome the pioneer women.
So, in alphabetical order, Mr. Cardenas, if you'd be kind enough to start with the first 30 seconds, to say quick something about your pioneer woman and come present the flowers.
Thank you very much, Council President Garcetti. I would need 30 hours to be able to begin to explain who Kathy Adams is and what she means to the community of Los Angeles and to the San Fernando Valley, but I will say this. She has shown her compassion and her commitment as a professional and as a wonderful human being to give up herself to save, literally save the psyche and eventually the lives of women and children who have been raped or been victims of incest. And they are the #1 organization in the north side of this county to provide those services. And without her, we would not have the wonderful society that we have today. So thank you so much, Kathy, for your dedication as a healthcare professional and also someone who gives 100% of themselves, your heart, your mind, and your soul to the women and children that you serve. Thank you very much.
And And Councilmember Cardenas is coming with the flowers in trail as he is coming up.
Do you want to do two? Do you want me to do
We'll go
next and then
next,
we'll go?
Councilmember Grewal.
Thank you, Mr. President, and it's my pleasure to acknowledge Mary Lou Pozo, who actually authored a book called The Founding Sisters Life Stories of Dahanga's Early Woman Pioneers from 1886 to 1928. Mary Lou is also the woman who led the fight to save Weatherwold Castle that we just approved this last week in its designation, but she also is someone who takes care of those who have passed, and we have a cemetery that unfortunately had been left for no one to attend to, and Mary Lou has taken that as her cause and to help the families that have their loved ones buried there. But Mary Lou is an inspiration to me, an inspiration to so many women, and it's just my pleasure that I could acknowledge Mary Lou as a pioneer of the women for the 2nd District. Congratulations, Mary Lou.
And we have those flowers coming as well. Next, we'll go to Mr. Huizar.
Thank you. Council members and public, it's really an honor to honor Patricia Shabak Reza, who has brought her supporters here as well.
Our own cheering section.
You know, I think looking at the people who are here today really exemplifies the type of person that Patricia is. She's unselfish, goes beyond the call of duty to support the community. Whenever there's a community issue, she's there to help, to support and help. It's not there for the credit or not there to get the glory, but there to provide the work that needs to get done to make our community a better place. She was honored by the United States Angeles National Forest for her becoming the first Latina woman to administer a volunteer-based program called Fuego Tech Rangers, which provides firefighter training and education to prepare young women and men to become firefighters in the Forest Service. She has a humanistic spirit, and it's just a real pleasure to work with her side by side in bettering our community and to be with someone who cares so deeply about our youth and the human spirit. Thank you so much for the work you do, Patricia.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Next, Mr. Tom Labange.
Okay, good. I'd like to introduce Councilmember Wendy Grewal to present Janice Hans, very special guest.
Absolutely. We'll go back for Janice Hans, Council District 15.
Thank you. Tom and I were fighting as to who could introduce Camilla because she's such an extraordinary woman, and I have had the pleasure of working with Camilla for many, many years. She helped start LA's Best. She was in the superintendent's office when we started that. She helped with charter schools. She was the honorary mayor of San Pedro, and is someone who's committed and dedicated her life to young people, but most importantly to her community. And I know Janice has a special place in her heart for Camilla, and they have worked so closely together on fighting for issues in San Pedro. So congratulations, Camilla, for your honor today. And so happy that I could do this with Tom. I elbowed him out so I could present this to you, but she's been a close member. I feel like she's my second mom, so congratulations, Camilla. Where do I get my picture taken?
Thank you. We will next go to Mr. Padilla.
Amelia, please come forward. Colleagues, it's my pleasure and honor to present my pioneer Woman of the Year from the 7th Council District, actually a former staff member for the 7th Council District office out in the district in the field, where she did a tremendous job representing me, serving the constituents of the 7th Council District. But one of the pieces of her legacy that she left behind the council office was organizing of all these neighborhood watch groups in communities that people would never have imagined would actually organize. And this allowed people to come together not just on safety issues, but basic public works issues and other concerns. It was my pleasure to recommend her to work in the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment when the department was first getting off the ground. And lo and behold, she's taken her leadership and organizing skills to the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment for several years now, where she's been the lead on organizing, certifying, and maintaining numerous neighborhood councils, minus the one in Sylmar, because she lives in Sylmar in the 7th Council District. So for her service to the city, for her leadership in the neighborhood council movement, and for her previous years of experience with Pueblo y Salud and being so active in the 7th Council District, it's my pleasure to present her these flowers and this award. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla, and congratulations to Maelia. Next, we will hear from Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to ask Maggie Fainer to come up. Here's a person that's being viewed as a pioneer woman, but we're honoring her for what she does every day. She's a person that not only lives in the area that she has the greatest impact in the North University Park area, but she is the one we rely on a variety of important tasks, whether it's dealing with the neighborhood council, design review boards, or a variety of things that impact the larger community. Just yesterday, I used her name in vain at a planning commission meeting because we're looking at how we can put zoning tools into the area of North University Park so that we can make sure that we don't eliminate the single-family homes that everyone cherishes, but we allow diversity and density to be moved to the major thoroughfares. She's right there with those ordinances. She's working with us, and certainly just today we got a chance to conduct some business about how we're going to alter the language of that ordinance as it goes forward. And so I just want to say thank you. I have never seen anyone's resume that has so many activities and organizations within the neighborhood they live in, and she is there at each one, and we rely on her. And certainly we could not find anyone better in the 8th District to be our pioneer woman for this year. So thank you very much, Maggie.
Thank you so much, Mr. Parks. Next, we will go to Councilwoman Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I am very proud to say a public thank you to Suhey Reyes Cepeda. Suhey is the consummate community activist. She's a graduate of Jefferson High School. She is an advocate for health and teen rights. She is deeply, deeply committed and involved in the group known as Youth Educating and Advocating for Health. She is always there to organize community cleanups. She has educated our young people on the prevention of HIV and STD through intervention. She is a model for advocacy. She's involved, she is inclusive and reaches out. She is a leader and what I consider to be one of the greatest representatives of the future of this city. And so I'm very proud to say a public thank you to her for all that she does for all of the families in the 9th Council District.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Next, we'll hear from Councilmember Reyes.
Thank you, Councilman Garcetti. It is truly an honor, but I'd like to ask Susana Areguin to come to the microphone. I just want to say, Susana, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you with us this morning. Colleagues, public, Susana is one of those strong individuals who's defied many of the causes that make us shut our doors and close our shutters and say, we can't do this. She's defied the gangs. She's defied that type of attitude that says, why should we clean the streets? She's organized communities. She's created environments where people who don't speak up have the confidence to speak up because of her leadership. She's organized folks for cleanups, for keeping our streets safe, involved with the Pico union dynamics, an area that is probably one of the most crowded areas in the city, that for many years was neglected for decades. And with her help, and the help of other leaders, have put Pico Union on the map. Holds our senior lead officers accountable, our fire department officials, our city cleaning crews. It's amazing how much energy has come from Susana Areguin. And the fact that she's been able to share that, not only on her street in Arapahoe, but Magnolia, and on and on. Muchas gracias, Susana, por todos sus esfuerzos y todos los logros, los sacrificios que has demostrado para nuestra comunidad. Muchas gracias. Y un gran honor.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes, for those words. Next, we'll recognize Councilmember Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could ask Francis Strong to come over to the mic. Francis is one of those unsung heroes, somebody that does the job because it needs to be done and then fades into the background. A pioneer is someone who provides leadership at critical times that make a difference for all of us. And all of the women today, I want to give a round of applause to for providing that leadership. One of the joys of being an elected official is meeting all kinds of people that are making a difference in their lives. What Frances has done is tied together youth with soccer and sports and all kinds of activities, and on the other end with seniors. She delivers Meals on Wheels to a good part of my district. And just before we came here, I asked her, would she play some leadership role with us on the Department of Aging in this city to help us get the city more focused on seniors on the one hand, youth on the other, and tie them both together. And Frances is that kind of leader. So congratulations, Frances, for all you've done for us in the 11th District. God bless you.
And don't forget your flowers, Mr. Rosendahl. As those flowers are coming forward, I recognize next Councilmember Smith.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to present to you Elizabeth Waldo Denzel. Now, many of you saw Elizabeth about 2 years ago when the Los Angeles City Council met at the Greek Church in Northridge for one of our off-site council meetings, and Ms. Denzel welcomed the City Council with her orchestra group and her violin, because she's a very well-known American composer and violinist and also a conductor, and she conducted her symphony that night for the City of LA and welcomed us there. In her role as a conductor and violinist, she's also been a leader in the arts in bringing in students from USC, from CSUN and UCLA who are studying music and work with them on internships so they can learn about the history of music and the arts, and has really been a leader in the City of LA in arts. And in 1989 founded the Multicultural Arts Foundation in Northridge, which practices their art at the Rancho Cordero del Norte, which is a beautiful reconstruction of an old California mission. And she puts on concerts there all the time, and it's a great art facility here in the Valley, but also for the whole city. But also she's been such a leader in the arts and music in Los Angeles, and it's just a joy to know and work with, and to work with the kids out there in presenting music as an art and an appreciation. So to Elizabeth, we're proud of you. We welcome you here today, and thank you for welcoming the council 3 years ago when we came to your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilmember Weiss.
I'd like to ask Maria Altman to come forward. Thank you, Council President Garcetti. Thank you also, Council President, for the format this year. Very much appreciated. Colleagues, I'd like to ask you, if you can, to meet Maria Altman. And colleagues, take a look at Maria Altman. Take a good, long look at her, because this mild-mannered, very nice and courtly woman in front of you earlier this year made the front pages of newspapers throughout the entire world. Maria Altman, because of what, if I could ask folks to be quiet in here, Council President.
Thank you. If we could have quiet in the chambers, please.
Earlier this year, Maria Altman did something that will be recorded in the history books forever, and which, thanks to her generosity, our children and our children's children will always benefit from. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She was born in Vienna, Austria, in the early part of the 20th century. And in the early part of the 20th century, her family commissioned their family friend, Gustav Klimt, to paint several portraits of Maria's aunt. During World War II, Nazi Germany victimized Maria's family in several terrible ways. One of the many ways in which her family was victimized was the Nazi government took the Klimt paintings away and took them, as far as they were concerned, permanently. And after the war, they ended up in the possession of the Austrian government. Well, Maria Altman, who's been living in Los Angeles for 60 years, decided that that was not fair, that that was not right, and she began a years-long, literally a decades-long legal battle with the Austrian government to recover those Klimt paintings. And in January of this year, thanks to the extraordinary work of her lawyer, Randy Schoenberg, she was successful, and the Austrian government was forced to hand over those Klimt paintings to Ms. Altman. And Mr. Labange, as you well know, what did Ms. Altman do with those paintings? She has them on display right now at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. Thank you for enriching all of us, Maria Altman.
I'm very grateful to this city and to this country to which we came in 1940, and I'm only delighted that I could do something for this country and bring the paintings over here and show them at the museum.
Thank you so much, Mr. Weiss, and if I can just insert for a brief second, I was with Mrs. Altman just 2 nights ago at the County Museum of Art, and she is also the niece of the woman who is in 2 of the portraits. And to be there and to see literally her face reflected on the walls there was one of the most moving experiences, and to hear, which she didn't share today, but Mrs. Altman say, when that mediation or arbitration, excuse me, in Austria was done by 3 Austrians, for her to speak about what it meant that she never expected that 3 Austrian arbitrators would unanimously give those paintings back. It was the most amazing story of human redemption I think I've heard in many, many years. So congratulations and thank you for blessing us. Absolutely. Thank you. And we'd like to recognize Councilmember Wesson next.
Thank you. I'm going to wait for Mr. Weiss to get out of my way as I ask Stevie Stearns to come to the podium. Members and ladies and gentlemen, I don't have the time, nor do I have the ability to articulate to you the many things that Stevie Stearns has done for the community that I represent and the community where she resides. There are a lot of women who are deserving of the Pioneer Award, but I can't think of one from my community more deserving than Stevie Stearns. Personally, she is a breast cancer survivor. My mother is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. Stevie Stearns has no agenda where it relates to the district that we share. Her agenda is the people's agenda. Her agenda is to make our community a better place, and she does it with flair, and she does it with class, because she's got a theatrical background. But she's also one of the individuals that's pragmatic, realistic, and common sense. I love you, and I'm glad that I have you in the district, and it's just such an honor to recognize you as the 10th District's Pioneer of the Year this year. God bless you, Stevie.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wesson. And on behalf of Mr. Zine, who I know is here in spirit but is still overseas, Mr. Smith will highlight our honoree, our Pioneer woman from the 3rd District.
Well, thank you. On behalf of Mr. Zine, first of all, but also myself, because I also split the community of Canoga Park with Mr. Zine, so I'm very pleased to present to you Dorothy Jean Yock. Her record is extraordinary. With 42 years of working community service in the city of LA, she is recognized for her work by then Tom Bradley, mayor, then Richard Reardon as mayor, former councilwoman Laura Chick. She's been active in the YMCA, something very near and dear to my heart, and I appreciate that, with the Girl Scout troops, Friends of Toxco Sister City, which is a very big program in Canoga Park, member of the Canoga Owens Mouth Historical Society Museum, active as on the advisory board of the Japanese Garden in Van Nuys, which is a magnificent facility. She's on the founding board of the Madrid Theater, a very great turnaround of a facility in the Canoga Park area, which was being used in a way the community didn't want, and was turned around and is now a very positive force in the valley and for our city. Secretary of the Board of Directors of the Canoga Park Community Center, Canoga Park West Hills Chamber of Commerce, President of the Guadalupe Community Center, member of the Sister Main Street Canoga Park organization, which has recently won awards nationally for what they've done. She's obviously been an active participant in the San Fernando Valley, numerous times nominated for the Fernando Award, which is the Outstanding Citizen of the Entire Valley Award, and obviously a truly deserving recipient of the Pioneer Award woman for the 3rd District, and on behalf of myself and the area north of the 3rd that represented in Canoga Park, also from the 12th District. So congratulations.
Mr. Labange.
Yeah, Mr. President, Madam President, this has been a wonderful morning. Let's give all the honorees a big hand right there. I know. And I had a minor scheduling error for mine. Adrian Alpert, who you know from Channel 7, a wonderful resident of the 4th District, lives in the Toluca Lake area, very involved with many of the community organizations. She suffered a great industrial accident years ago when she worked for Eyewitness News with the press van off of Santa Monica Boulevard. We're going to schedule a time for her to come, appropriate that we coordinate it. But please, let's give Adrian Alpert, Pioneer Woman of the Year for 4th District, a big hand. Thank you very much.
And colleagues, if I can take the prerogative of going last here, I wanted to celebrate my pioneer woman from the 13th Council District, Barbara Lass from Atwater Village. All right. Tom's a former Atwater Village resident, knows Barbara well. I think many people in these chambers certainly have been impacted by what Barbara has done. When I was first running for office, I met Barbara even a little bit before, I think, probably, when through her activism at the library, which is one of the smallest branch libraries in the city in Atwater Village, which this weekend we'll be naming a room after her because of the countless hours she has spent volunteering time, making sure that book sales, facilities, making sure there are grants and other attributes that other branches have that are in Atwater Village as well. But her work extends far beyond the books and the computers of the library. All of Atwater Village has been touched by her activism. She, like me, was born in the Good Samaritan Hospital. Only a second-generation Angelino. I'm a fourth, but you know she's done all right. Nevertheless, I think she was born just about a year or two before me at the Good Samaritan Hospital. She was one of the founding members, or the first members, of the Atwater Village Residents Association, and really has been the lifeblood of that organization for many, many years, and has continually focused folks on getting things done in Atwater Village. And I think the thing that touches me most, even though her incredible work at the library has probably been her signature achievement the last few years, her chairing of the advisory board at Chevy Chase Rec Center, which is a forgotten corner of Los Angeles in the northern stretches of Atwater Village, adjacent to the Los Angeles River and Glendale, where community has been beset by violence. It's often a place that city services haven't touched. She has worked with us to make sure that that rec center continues to provide hope for the young people that are there, for seniors, for others that live in the area, and for that, she makes sure that we never forget even the furthest corner that is here in Los Angeles. So please join me in congratulating, and have my flowers right here, Barbara Lass, Pioneer Woman from the 13th Council District. We're going to go back in a second. And colleagues, I would invite you, Channel 35 is set up. We want to hear from the Pioneer Women. We're going to interview them back there, and so all of Los Angeles can hear them on Channel 35 and some of their thoughts on winning this award. Let's give all of our awardees a big round of applause. Thank you very much, Madam President, and we'll see you all next year.
Thank you, everyone.
Come back this way.
Next presentation is with Council District 10, Mr. Wesson.
Test.
Hola. Congratulations. Thank you. Hello, Alex.
How are you?
You realize that you're running in Sherwood Forest, room behind.
You're going to go back with her?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Sherwood Forest covers about 3 feet.
Yeah, you come with, you can take some pictures too.
Ladies?
Mr. Wesson, I know you're trying to get up to the lectern. Mr. Herb Wesson, council member of the 10th Council
Thank you.
District.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, members that are here. I know some of the other members are in the back with the pioneer women. No, you don't have to shush them. I was going to ask the Madam President to make sure that I have quiet in this council chamber, or I'll sit here for an hour. I think it's a little quiet. You know, it's my pleasure. In fact, sergeants, help me out here. Now, this is a serious recognition for me, and I would like to have silence. In life, there are unique and weird connections that occur that have an effect on you later in life. Several years ago, my wife dragged me to go see The Lion King, even though I loved it when I got there. But I was amazed by a young lady that played the role of Nala, the little lion, little girl lion. About 3 years ago, Councilwoman Hahn and I were inducted into the Promenade of Prominence, which in the Watts community is very similar to the Walk of Fame. And at that event, there was a young lady who was part of the event's entertainment. Councilwoman Hahn and I sat there in amazement at the voice of a woman coming out of a 13-year-old girl. And I remember taking some photographs that I will show members later of me and the family, because I believed that one day she'd be a big-time entertainer. Now, in all honesty, I am an American Idol addict. I have not missed a show. Thank God for TiVo. But one night this season, I'm watching the show, and I get a call from John Harmon, who works from me, and he says, "Oh my goodness, there's that 13-year-old girl that sang for you when you were inducted in the Promenade of Prominence, and she's on American Idol." And he was right. She was there. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people from throughout the United States auditioned to be on this show. Maybe 80, 100,000 this season. The young lady that I'm about to present to you made it through the first round, the second round. Out of 100,000 people, she made it to the top 10. Just for that, let's give Lisa Tucker a round of applause. At the age of 16, I can't, with all of the pressure, I told her today, when I was 16, I couldn't even keep my room clean, and here she is on national television singing before 30 and 40 million people. I wanted to present her today because of this. This is the beginning of her career. This is just one award that she will receive. I guarantee you, we'll be watching on television and we'll see her win maybe a Grammy, an Emmy, an Academy Award. And she's going to go to the stage and she's going to thank her mother. And she's going to thank her father because they really had a positive effect on her, and her grandfather, who's with us today, that she's going to thank her father, she's going to thank her mother, and she's going to probably thank me. And some of you may receive an honorable mention, but it's got to be exciting for us to know that we had an ability to honor and to touch someone. Am I touching the right one? I just touched a granddad. And to touch someone who one day will be a great, if not one of the greatest entertainers in modern history. It's my pleasure to present to Lisa Tucker a resolution signed by every elected official in city government. I mean, the mayor signed it, the city attorney signed it, the city clerk signed it, and every member of the Los Angeles City Council signed this resolution for you, Lisa. It is with pride that I present it. Take a quick shot. I'm gonna put it here. And also, no, Lisa, she saw the roses and she said, "Ah, no, Lisa, these roses are not for you. These roses are for your mother. Happy Mother's Day, Miss Tucker." With that, it's my pleasure to ask Lisa Tucker to say a few words.
Okay, I don't even know where to start. It's so easy for me, you know, just to stand up on television and sing in front of millions of people, but I always get a little nervous speaking in front of people, so I just want to say thank you. I don't know what else to say. I'm so honored to be here and just to take part. I'm so surprised. I didn't expect this, so I'm just so honored to be here, and I just want to say thank you.
All right. Mr. Wesson, can we ask Miss Tucker to sing one quick song?
You know what?
Do you want me to?
Sure, all right.
Oh, well, of course. Wait, now that I'm at mic check.
Okay.
Wait, hand it back to Councilman Holden. He's going to introduce you properly as if he's on American Idol.
And now,
I made that
I'm
mistake.
Ryan Seacrest from American Idol, and we have the great, the wonderful, the beautiful, the talented Lisa Tucker. Lisa.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free
Lisa Tucker, ladies and gentlemen. Geez, thank you, Lisa. So we go.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilman Herb Wesson. Thank you so much. Give Lisa Tucker another big hand there. This time I'd like to call on Councilmember Wendy Gruhl and Councilmember Jose Huizar.
Should we ask her to come up, or? Well, good morning, council members. It's a hard, difficult act to follow, isn't that it? But it's a real pleasure to be here along with Councilwoman Wendy Gruhl to present the Child Care Provider Appreciation Day recognition. Can some of the providers come on up? You know, having served 4.5 years on the Board of Education, I truly recognize and appreciate the importance there is in early childhood education. And one thing that is often unnoticed are the providers who nurture and support our children at a very early age that really is the most important time in their development. So I'm proud and honored to stand here today to recognize the achievement of these providers, to thank them for the work they do, and also to recognize some individuals who have been noted for their achievements. You know, some of these workers often work for little money, and all right, you agree with that? And little recognition. So it really is a great time to be here today. And whether they are center-based providers, family child care providers, or an informal relative caregiver, they truly do play a crucial role in our children's development. And I'm proud to be here with Councilwoman Wendy Gruhl, who we all know has been the champion and the voice for supporting early childhood education here. I know she knows that even more so now for both of us, since we have very young children. I have a 4-year-old, an 18-month-old, and Wendy Gruhl, a 3-year-old. But I want to thank Wendy Gruhl as well for being the champion here within these walls to continue to provide a voice for the providers and championing their cause for early childhood education. Thank you very much. Wendy?
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Huizar. And today is Provider Appreciation Day in the city of Los Angeles, but it's not only here, it's across the country in Europe and Asia. Provider Appreciation Day, as Jose mentioned, is a special day to recognize child care providers, teachers, and educators who care for our children, of working parents everywhere across the world. And this was started in 1996 by a group of volunteers in New Jersey. We recognize in the city of Los Angeles how important it is to have well-trained, quality child care providers in the city of Los Angeles. It's vital to our economic system here, as well as I think for both Jose and our peace of mind as we stand here today to know that our children are being well taken care of. It's very important as you see a child develop that you see the kind of things that these child care providers do every day with their passion and commitment. And as my husband and I have been looking at daycare, I was telling this morning, my husband leaves that child care center sweating and wondering, oh my goodness, what's going to happen to my child here? And what it is about organized play and people having a great time. And I think it has demonstrated to us how important these child care providers are to our everyday life. And it's often used, the fact that it takes a village to raise a child, but these are part of the most important aspect when we leave to go to work, that they're taking care of our children. And as I left my child today, with his caregiver, you worry, are they going to be unhappy when I leave and go to work, and he was kind of like, see ya, Mom, because he's having a great time with that provider who's making sure he has the developmental opportunities and the play opportunities and learning to socialize with others. So it is my pleasure. We have 5 providers that we're recognizing today. Crystal Stairs, Connections for Children, Pathways, MAOF, and CCRC, and we do have proclamations to provide to them.
And as you do,
Yes.
Ms. Gruhl, our colleague, Mr. Reyes, wanted to make some comments.
Great.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to rise and thank my colleagues. You know, my sister, for over 20 years, has been a child care provider. And I see her struggles, and I sometimes ask her, who takes care of you? Because I see her as a nutritionist, I see her as a psychologist, I see her as an educator, I see her as a financial planner. When the parents don't know what to do, they speak to the teacher. And when the child care provider is looking at the condition of the child, you raise a lot of questions and it tears at the heart when you start talking about what is healthy for the child, what's healthy for the family. And this society fails to recognize the value and the support you should be getting as child care providers. So I applaud you. You do a tremendous amount of work, and I've seen it firsthand in my own sister, Irma Reyes, and I just want to thank you for your hard work, because this should be happening more often, and I would hope someday either the governor or the president understands that all our teachers should be paid more, and you should be getting much more support than you're given today. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Rosendahl.
I just want to make a quick comment. You know, as we get to Mother's Day on Sunday, you all are surrogate mothers in the sense that you are the nurturer for the young people. So first, happy Mother's Day to all of you. Secondly, we're living in an age now, with the economy being the way it is now, that both are working. The mother and the father are working in the work field. So who's taking care of the kids, the future? You are. And the service you're providing to these young people is the foundation for their future and their life. And so what you're doing is as critical as anything we could be doing in America for our people. And I want to thank you for your leadership with kids. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl. Ms. Gruhl, Mr. Weezer.
We'd like to acknowledge representatives from Connections for Children. Connections for Children? Over there, okay, well, come on over. The Mexican American Opportunities Foundation. Congratulations, thank you. Yes, thank you. Pathways. Pathways, okay. Okay, sorry, thank you, sorry.
Congratulations and thank you so much.
Crystal Stairs. Yep. Thank you. I'm not sure if there's anyone here from the Child Care Resource Center. If not, I know they're located in the San Fernando Valley, and to be able to provide, I don't know if Terry is here.
Terry Ogawa?
Terry Ogawa. Terry, Carlene, maybe? Come over to accept the Child Care Provider Appreciation Day proclamation. We do wish them all Mother's Day. And let's give a round of applause for our young kids over here who have been so great. I know that, and their providers that are with them today. So on behalf of the entire City Council and the Mayor and Rocky Delgadillo and Laura Chick, this is for Provider Appreciation Day. And know that it's not just today that we thank you for your efforts, but it is each and every single day that you care for our children in a compassionate and wonderful way and make our lives a lot better and our children's lives a lot better. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. Our next presentation will be from Council Member Jan Perry of the 9th District.
We're going to take a quick picture in the back, so if I could ask all of the providers that are here with us to come in the back. Thank you.
Remember? Yeah, give me the pose. Can I see your pose? Do you have a pose? Okay. Everybody gonna come up? You you want to stand with
Yeah,
them?
they want to stand there because they
Come on.
want to be seen.
Oh, they don't want to be seen.
No, they want to be seen. They think they're not going to be seen down here.
They don't, okay, I got
They
it,
got a
got
better
it,
view up
okay.
there.
All right. The children have organized themselves and they have decided that they want to be on television, and so they're going to stand on the benches. So that's where they will stay. That's fine. I'm joined here today by Hector Luis Ramirez. He is currently the Vice President of Programs and Chief Operating Officer at Para Los Niños, a nationally accredited community-based family services agency headquartered in Los Angeles, California. In his role, Hector oversees the agency's child development, school-age, adolescent, family resource, and mental health programs. He also serves on many local, national, and international committees. His work on behalf of young people in this city is incredibly complex and truly commendable. I wanted to take this opportunity to highlight this and to highlight his most recent accomplishment. He was recently appointed by California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger to chair the First Five California Children and Families Commission, an important role that he is more than qualified to fill, and I know that he will continue to make all of us proud. Additionally, I've learned today that we are celebrating his recent promotion. It was announced by the agency's board chair, Roger Carrick, that Hector has been promoted to the newly created position of Chief Strategic Officer, an emerging new role in the nonprofit sector. So I wanted to take this opportunity to honor Hector, to congratulate him publicly, and to thank him for his continued service to the thousands of young people who he helps shape every single day. Let's give him a big hand.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Councilwoman Perry and all the members of the council here for supporting Para Los Niños for all these years. You know, this is an honor for me, but as I reflect on my accomplishments, it really does remind me that the work that I have accomplished is really predicated on the success of the 320 professionals at Para Los Niños that work day in and day out, tirelessly serving over 2,500 Angelinos children every day. And, you know, my role is really that of a servant, one to support our staff and to ensure that they have everything they need to do what they do best. And that's the philosophy that I'm taking with me as the new chair of First Five, is to really ensure that the commission focuses on providing parents and the various professionals that care for our youngest, most vulnerable children everything they need to ensure that these children succeed. And so I brought a whole troop of kids with us here, probably one of tomorrow's American Idols, and to remind us of what this is about. It's about our children, and I hope you will join me in that effort. Thank you.
And I'll present it to you in the back. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Ms. Perry. Our next presentation is Council Member Cardenas from the 6th Council District. While we're waiting for Mr. Cardenas, if we can take the ordinances that are on the table.
And those would be 2 through 10 and 18.
Okay, can we open the roll on 2 through 10 and 18? And close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Thank you. We'll return to the presentations. Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Council President Garcetti. It gives me great honor and pleasure to give this well-deserved resolution to Alan Clayton. But I say that also by commending his wonderful wife, Diana Velasquez, for their continued support and dedication to the community, and specifically to the Latino community. Although they care about everyone and treat everyone equally, and they do embody the spirit of this country like very few people do, I do want to point out some of the accolades and some of the accomplishments of Alan Clayton as he retires. But as you hear and see what I'm about to say about Alan Clayton, you'll know that Alan Clayton is not the kind of person who truly retires. What it will mean is that he is going to spend more time dedicating himself to the community now that he has more time freed up to do so. Alan Clayton, for over 24 years, has been a longtime leader in numerous advocacy efforts designed to improve the life of the Latino community in Los Angeles and in the state of California. He is recognized expert in the field of redistricting. He is also an accomplished advocate in the field of Title VI language discrimination and Title VII systemic employment discrimination. Whereas in 1985, Alan Clayton filed a petition on behalf of numerous Latino organizations with the governor and the legislature over the lack of representation of Latinos in California state government. As a result of the legislative hearings, ACR 145 was enacted. This legislation was drafted by Alan Clayton on behalf of Assemblyman Pete Chacon and established the Joint Legislative Task Force on the underrepresentation of Latinos in California state government. In 1987, Alan Clayton was a leader in the redistricting of the Los Angeles City Council. This successful effort led to the creation of a second Latino City Council district. In 1987, Alan Clayton, on behalf of LACCEA, filed an over 200-page complaint with the EEOC charging that the Department of Health Services systematically discriminated against Latinos in their hiring and promotions. This complaint was settled in 1992, and the Department of Health Services was required to allocate $2.1 million to the recruitment of Latinos. Alan Clayton, in 1991, on behalf of the Latino Redistricting Coalition, was a principal advocate for Latino empowerment in the redistricting of the city of Los Angeles and the Los Angeles Unified School District. These redistricting efforts led to the election of a second Latino to the Los Angeles Unified School District Board and a third Latino to the City Council of Los Angeles. Alan Clayton in 1991 was a leader in advocating for increased Latino representation in the California State Assembly, State Senate, and congressional redistricting. His advocacy helped to increase the number of Latinos in the Assembly from 4 to over 16 by 1998. In the State Senate, from 3 in 1991 to 9 in 1999. From 3 in Congress in 1991 to 7 by 1999. Alan Clayton led the legislative fight to save 1,000 probation department employees from demotion or layoffs. As you can see, Alan Clayton thinks much more of society, much more of the community than he does of himself. He's a truly dedicated human being. I'd like to highlight one of my most successful opportunities as a state legislator, and something that I'm very proud of, and that is the Schiff Cardenas Act. One day when I was in my office after working on this matter for over 6 months with my staff, Alan Clayton walked into my office, as he always does, with a stack of papers about this high, and he put them on my desk, and he said, "I'm working on juvenile justice legislation, and I've been working on it for years." He says, "This is the blueprint of legislation to renovate and work on juvenile justice, to enact juvenile justice legislation like never before in the entire country." And I looked at my staff, and I looked at Alan, I said, "Alan, we've been working on that as well." The work that he had done tirelessly with himself and every resource he could muster, he did more work than I was able to do as a state legislator with full-time staff members. He did this out of the kindness of his heart, not for himself, but for the children of California. That bill that we enacted together survived a governor's veto. We had to put it on the governor's desk twice to get this legislation enacted, and it was signed the second time. And I'm very proud to say, due to the work and efforts of Alan Clayton, juvenile crime has gone down for 5 years straight in the state of California since we enacted that legislation. Lives have been saved. Taxpayer dollars are now investing $1,300 per youth instead of $90,000 a year to incarcerate them. That is the true commitment of a wonderful American, someone who by birth is not Latino, by birth is not Chicano, but someone who embodies what it is to be a human being, to give of himself, to give of the community, and to think of himself last. Alan Clayton will probably not have statues erected by him if we took a vote of the legislature or if we took the vote of people in Congress, but he should. Because in doing what he did, he was approached and told by many elected officials, "Do not do this, Alan. Let's wait. Let's do it some other time." And he pushed past those objections and followed his heart and did what is right so that we, as the state of California, could truly adhere to the Constitution of this country and the state of California better than we were before. To me, Alan Clayton is better than an elected official. He's a human being who knows what it is to be a true public servant and has done it without thanks and has done it under attack and will never, ever stop doing that work for all of us. So with that, I introduce to you Alan Clayton to say a few words.
Mr. Clayton?
I just want to share with you,
He's going to let some council members speak first.
Go ahead, Mr. Clayton. We have two people who want to speak, but we'll hear from you first. Go
I
ahead.
just want to share with you, some of you may remember Proposition 21 that came before the public. Some of us realized Prop 21 would pass, and it was about sanctions for juveniles. Some of us know sanctions must be put together with reform. You cannot have sanctions, but it has to be a bag of working together to rehabilitate and to have programs that bring youth back into society, not just arrest and punish. And I went up to Sacramento with a mission, and the mission was to bring resources to law enforcement, both on prevention, intervention, and to deal with the issues of gangs. And I put together a package. I went up there. At the time, Prop 21 was supported by both Gray Davis and by Pete Wilson. And a lot of people told me, go back, go home. I stayed a whole week, walked the halls. Many people who I thought would take the message after they saw both the current governor and the previous governor, when I was supporting, told me, you know, you're wasting your time. You've been up here before. You've actually got legislation enacted. Well, I can tell you on the 5th day, I went in and I was kind of discouraged. I even called one of my friends and said, you know, I feel like going home because, you know, he said, no, stick around. You know, there is somebody out there that wants to champion minority youth. There's somebody out there that's not afraid to stand up for the youth and to have programs for them. And then I met Assemblyman Cardenas. I'd known him before. I went in and I obviously had a big package of information. We had a bill for $400 million for programs. It was a huge package. We put it together with people in law enforcement, people in the community, and it was a reform package to deal with juvenile crime in a humane way, but something that would work. And guess what? Tony liked the bill, liked the idea. He put his staff as his top legislative priority. We had a huge battle, but in the end, I believe it almost passed unanimously.
It did pass unanimously.
Yeah, and it was such a relief at the end, and then the governor took the money out. We went and fought. We got it back in. Over 5 years, over $500 million for youth, new money for youth. These are programs that benefit over half a million minority and non-minority youth, about 75–80% minority, have benefited from programs that Tony delivered through the legislature. It came to me working with other people, my wife, who was a senior probation person, and others who said this is something we need for minority youth and for all youth, and it has worked. Juvenile crime has gone down, and lives have been turned around. And that is something I'm so proud of, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. A number of other council members would like to add their congratulations. Mr. Clayton, starting with Mr. Smith, then Mr. Padilla, Mr. Reyes, and Mr. Rosendahl for a minute each. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I was very pleased to see you here today, Alan. We met in the early mid-1980s when the city of LA was going through the redistricting, and were sued by MALDEF because the lines were not drawn appropriately to meet the standards, federal standards. And I was asked on behalf of Mr. Bernstein, who was vice chair of the committee, to go to meet with Zev Yaroslavsky, who was chairman of the committee, and meet this gentleman from MALDEF who had maps and ideas and ways to redraw this. And I went in thinking, okay, this is not going to be a comfortable meeting. This is going to be a confrontational meeting and something I'm not going to enjoy. But I went to Zev's office, and Alan Clayton was there. Alan was there with his pile of books, he said, his stats, his figures, and we had a great working relationship over a period of months as we looked at his maps and his ideas for bringing equity to the Latino community of Los Angeles to meet the federal guidelines and standards and bring about a reapportionment in the city of LA that made sense and accomplished those goals. And I can tell you, I enjoyed working with you. You're a gentleman. You feel very strongly about your ideas, but you were not confrontational. You're not in your face. It was there to do something you felt was right and important for the Latino community of Los Angeles. And many of the people that are sitting around this chamber today owe those seats that they hold today to the effort that began with Alan Clayton in that office and Zev's office in the 1980s. So thank you for what you did, and thank you for being a gentleman about the way you did it.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want the city photographer to please take a picture of Alan, because I can't recall the last time I saw him without a stack of papers under his arm. Anybody who knows Alan knows that he's not just passionate about the issues that Mr. Cardenas so eloquently articulated, but he's also very thoughtful. He's not someone who's going to engage you in a conversation or in a debate without having done his homework. And he's going to prove to you that he's done his homework, not just with his intellect and his knowledge, but by literally giving you copies of the tables, giving you copies of the charts, giving you copies of the reports to make you think as well. Alan and I have had an opportunity to work with each other and know each other for many years, and I have Bill Mabee standing here behind me. Say hi to Alan for me, not just in his work with Tony Cardenas when he was in the Assembly on the juvenile justice issue, but as reference in the overview, on the redistricting conversations, on the investment of voter registration dollar conversations, anything and everything that can work through the system to assist, enfranchise, and further empower the Latino community throughout the state of California. Alan has been at the forefront, if not visibly, certainly at the forefront behind the scenes in helping put those strategies together. So, Alan, thank you very much. We know you're not going too far away. You're going to be just as active as ever. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of District 1, thank you for all your hard work. I think the product of 86, 87 actually established the new District 1, the North Hollywood area, into what is today. But just as important is knowing the tag team, the dynamic duo of Alan Klein and Leo Estrada, Dr. Leo Estrada, and watching how you were able to break down these concepts and put forth policy language that has allowed us to benefit in ways that, as our Councilmember Cardenas has said, in ways that our future will never realize, and essentially start shifting how we put value to our youth. The amount of dollars we're spending now versus what we used to spend in our youth is amazing. Incarceration, and just to change the whole attitude based on facts. Policy is you get too emotional, doesn't make sense, and you counter with the charts, you counter with the stats and say, no, this is pragmatic, this is policy. Has nothing with emotion, has to do with what's right for our society. So I thank you, your wife, for all your sacrifices. You've paid a high, high price, but I think the benefits are going to be invaluable. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Rosendahl.
Yeah, I too want to echo what my colleagues are saying. We don't know each other, but I can tell you that your reputation preceded you. And to take a young person and give them opportunities rather than incarceration, to deal with young people and help forming their minds and helping them be productive members of society. I moderated the debate between Steve Cooley and Gil Garcetti when they were running against each other, and Prop 21 was one of those issues that came up within that process that talked about young people. And the fact that everybody moved in the direction that your leadership provided has done countlessly wonderful things for young people and for the future of society. So thank you for your leadership on dealing with young people and the criminal justice system. Thank you.
Mr. Huizar?
Alan, it's really great to see you here, and I want to publicly thank you for all you've done in a number of areas. And, I see you as a person who is willing to stand up and advocate for what you believe in, irrespective if you're in the minority or not. I've often seen you in rooms advocating a certain position, and you may be the only one. But after a while, it keeps building momentum, and you're willing to stand up and fight for what you believe in. Thank you so much, and it was certainly a pleasure to work with you when we went through the redistricting for the school district. You were always someone that I could count on to give me some good factual data to work on, and I appreciate everything you've done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all colleagues, and thank you, Mr. Clayton, as well, on behalf of Council District 13, which probably wouldn't exist as well without your good work, and for the work that you've done on juvenile justice, as well as Mr. Rosendahl alluded to, something that was very near and dear to my father's heart as well, in terms of reforming that and giving opportunities to young people that didn't exist before. So congratulations, and thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much, President Garcetti. And with that, I give this resolution signed by every elected official in the city of Los Angeles for your tireless efforts. You've embodied the spirit of Mahatma Gandhi, of Martin Luther King, of Cesar Chavez, and many other people who try to change the world with their intellect and their heart, their corazón, and you've done so immeasurably, and I'm sure you will continue to do that. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas. For our next presentation, I'd like to recognize the council member from the 8th District to celebrate a very special day here in the city of Los Angeles with a very familiar friend to all of us here in Southern California. Mr. Parks?
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Could you come down and assist me on this? We have a very special guest. In fact, it's been a great week for him, and the fact that the City Council had a reception for him earlier this week. Many of you, in addition to seeing him on television every day, also had an opportunity to see that he's now famous in the fact that he has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I'd like to ask Mr. Jim Hill to come up and to and also a reception last night. So he has had a Jim Hill week. And so, but just to give you some of the things that I think are significant in what he's done in 30 years as a broadcaster, all of us, I think it's a must-see is Saturday and Sunday at Sports Central. We all know he played football for both San Diego and Green Bay, but what we remember most is that the fact that for the last 30 years, we've seen him on television. Just to give you a thumbnail of what his accomplishments. In 1994, Associated Press Best Sportscast Award for Action News Sports at 5. He's been honored by the Press Club with 6 awards for Best Sportscast, Best Reporting, 4 awards for Best Sports from the California Associated Press Television and Radio Association, Best Sports Reporting Award from United Press International, as well as an Emmy from the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. Also, during 2005, he received other accolades, named the top sportscaster in Los Angeles by the Los Angeles Daily News, and has been named the best sports anchor team by Southern California Sports Broadcast Association, and previously the best TV sports anchor by Southern California Sports Broadcast Associates. In addition to that, a great number of civic involvement. He was one of the prime members and original members of the Just Say No First Lady Nancy Reagan anti-drug program. He also received just recently the Los Angeles Black Expo Lifetime Achievement Award. And so it goes on, and he's been certainly outreach as it relates to the United Negro College Fund, also served as a board of the Pepperdine University, and the Urban League, the Grossman Burns Center, the Centinela Hospital in Inglewood, just to name a few. One of the major events that's coming up that he has been a mainstay in since its inception is the Cedars-Sinai Medical Genetic Birth Defect Center, which has their Sports Spectacular, which he plays a major role. And so I would just like to say to Jim, thank you for being here for those 30 years and also being able to turn on television and to see him do that kind of professional newscasting has been outstanding. And let me ask our president to come up and make some comments.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. I think Mr. Parks invited me up here to just show how short 6 feet can look. I wanted to congratulate Jim Hill on what's been an incredible week. Mr. Parks very generously had a reception up at the Tom Bradley Ballroom, and then we welcome Mr. Hill not just for one day to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but now for all posterity. Jim Hill takes sports seriously because sports, to him, I think, is about the very best of the human spirit. It's about the possibility of each one of us and what we can do and can be. And certainly he has been able to show that it's not just what he does in front of the camera, but it's also what he does when the camera is turned off. Words that I said when we were on the Walk of Fame. And I also wanted to say, Jim, I've never seen so many people behind the ropes in a Walk of Fame ceremony. There was plenty of fans on the other side too, but this man had so many friends, and there were so many sports greats and individuals. I can't remember the last time I saw Don King and Chief Bratton in the same location, but it was an amazing event, and I know that star will be testimony to something which will live on in this city for a long time to come, and we really wanted to celebrate with you as well Jim Hill Day here in the city of Los Angeles. We admire your patience. If it was my day, I don't know if I'd want to be sitting around listening to politicians speak all day long, so we'll get you out of here, but we really wanted to congratulate you on inspiring our lives and enriching our city as well. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Garcetti, but Mr. Padilla would like to add a few words before we meet with our honoree.
Just to be brief, colleagues, a lot has been said about Jim Hill, his professionalism, his success as a sportscaster, but I also admire the man for what I've seen him do with my own eyes on the charitable front, on the philanthropic front, helping many causes throughout the Southland. We all see it with the invitations coming in, but when your name is attached with so many worthwhile organizations, but you also have a heck of a golf swing. So we hope to see you out on the golf course pretty soon.
Thank you, Mr. Wesson.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I can remember one of the first opportunities that I had to meet Jim Hill is that he and I were both being honored by the Watts Willowbrook Boys and Girls Club, and to be totally honest with you, I felt inadequate standing on the same stage with an individual that has accomplished so much. You know, the work that you do, Jim, is really similar to the work that we do in the way that we're under a microscope. And in all of these years, you have never, ever embarrassed our community. You have been a role model, and you have set, I think, the bar for all sportscasters. And Councilmember Padilla is right. It's not just that he puts on makeup and stands before the camera and tells us the Lakers scores or whatever. He does more than that. He MCs programs. He volunteers his time. And I have yet to see your golf swing. And if it is as good as Alex says, I don't want to see it. Anyway, congratulations, my dear friend.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Labange.
Ms. Gruhl and Mr. Parks, Mr. Garcetti, it's very special that we have Jim Hill Day in the city of Los Angeles, and for 30 years, a very special sportscaster and a great athlete in his own right from the great state of Texas. I love the story you told about how they got the team bus home and followed your directions of your dear sweet mom on that. But members, I just want to tell you what's so special about Jim Hill is he, of all the sports reporters in Los Angeles, he was the first in the history of television, I believe. I don't know, at least in Southern California, Jim, because for 24 years, from 1971 to 94, when the Raiders and Rams left, I worked with NFL Films. Prior to videotape, which you see those cameras there were the only cameras that allowed on the sidelines were film cameras. But then when video came, Jim Hill would come on the sidelines, and as a play was being made in the end zone, right there, Jim would pick up the microphone, and there, Harold Jackson just scored his third touchdown for the Rams here. We'll have more at 5 o'clock on Channel 2. Right on the sidelines. I guess I'm not going to make American Idol. But Jim Hill changed the way they do sports reporting. And because he was such a great athlete, he got the trust from all athletes of all the different sports to get the inside story for the viewers of Channel 2 News. A great humanitarian. He lives in the great 4th District because it's close to his station, and he's a dear friend, and I'm just proud to support Jim Hill Day in the city of Los Angeles. Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you. Mr. Hill.
Madam President and ladies and gentlemen of the City Council, it's been a heck of a week. Thank you for having me here for this magnificent honor. The week began with a reception hosted by Councilman Parks in my favorite room here, the Tom Bradley Room, who's one of my heroes, for myself and my family. And then there was the surreal experience that we had at the Hollywood Star Walk of Fame, which I have to thank Arthur Cassell for everything that he did. And then it culminates today being here in this wonderful chamber. Someone asked me on Tuesday how I'd like to be described. And I said, you shouldn't describe a person by the wealth you think they may or may not have, or the possessions that you think they may or may not have, but their passion for life and contribution to mankind. And I love this journey we call life. And as Dr. King once said, You know, it's what you say now echoes for eternity. And with those thoughts in mind, I will be indebted to this city and to this chamber forever for everything that you've done for myself and for my family. And in my capacity at the station, anything I can ever do for this chamber or this city to make it better than it is, it would be my pleasure to serve. Thank you so much for having me here. And as I always say, keep the faith. Thank you.
We're going to go back and take some photos.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge, I believe, Mr. Smith for the next presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, I'm pleased to present, it's kind of a sports day, I guess, with Jim Hill here, a great sportsman here in our midst that worked for the city of LA and has gone on to great fame. Ron Skiern is an employee of the Department of Building and Safety, who's worked for us for 31 years in the Department of Building and Safety. But recently he was honored for his role as a leader in the United States bicycling programs throughout the country. And he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the U.S. Hall of Fame of Bicycling Hall of Fame in Bridgewater, New Jersey. He started cycling at 15. By 18, he was already participating in major competition around the country. He went on to compete in the U.S. Olympic team in 1972, and after that went on to win the Kugler-Anderson Memorial 50-Mile Classic in Somerville, New Jersey, which is better known as the Kentucky Derby of bicycling. And again in 1973 and in 1974. He began to work full-time for the city of LA in 1974 with building safety, and then went on to win major tournaments as Team Pursuit participant in 1971, 72, 74, 75, 76, and 77. He won the individual pursuit in 1975, the 10-mile in 1976, the points race in 1978, Madison in 1981, and in 1975, he was a gold medalist at the Team Pursuit event in the Pan American Games in Mexico City. As a member of the 1973 World Championship team and also the Olympic team again in 1976. Between 1973 and 1980, Ron broke all existing world speed records up to and including the 1-hour cyclist record, and still holds the world's record in the hour tandem HPV of 46.3 miles, which he set in 1980. Now, that's not enough. He also, in 1977, was a test pilot for the first human-powered airplane called the Gossamer Condor, which went on to cross the English Channel. He married his wife, Sue, in 1979, has 2 children, Matt and Tara, lives in Van Nuys, and continues to work for the Building and Safety Department, even though he has truly excelled in the world of bicycling. He has brought great pride to the people of the San Fernando Valley, people of the city of Los Angeles, and continues to bring great pride to us as an employee of the city of LA. And so on behalf of the city, we want to recognize you for your extraordinary accomplishments in the world of bicycling, but more importantly, for your induction into the U.S. Bicycling Hall of Fame. God bless you for what you've done for LA, but more importantly, congratulations for your monumental achievements in the world of bicycling. Ron, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And while I have an opportunity here, let me also get a plug in, because Alex Baum is here from the Bicycling Committee, and he would kill me if I didn't do this. This is National Bicycling Week, and it's an opportunity for people to ride a bike to work, and I know Tom LaBonge talks about this all the time. So for those people who would like to support just the environment of being healthier and riding a bike, cutting down traffic congestion, just being healthier, less pollutants in the air, all those good things that come from bicycling. Next week is the opportunity to do it, because on Thursday the 19th is Cyclist Ride Free Day on MTA and other Metro-related participated transportation agencies. So bring your helmet, bring your bike, and ride free on the Metro. And if you want more information, you can go to mta.net/bike-to-work. Bike to work, one word. Ron, congratulations. I want to turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Rosendahl, for a moment also.
And it's just a moment, folks, but I want to acknowledge the fact that in the 11th District, you are our representative because you work in West LA, and you would drive from Van Nuys, come over into West LA, and provide leadership for my district on bicycling. And thinking of you on the Budget Committee the other day, we have asked now that all the bike routes in the city be on maps, and that we come up with a bike path for everywhere in the city, because one of the ways to deal with the gridlock is to get on a bicycle, and it's healthy to get on a bicycle. And I want to thank you, Ron, for your leadership in the whole city, and especially helping us in the 11th District. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you very, very much. I got to make one correction, though. He said when I drove to West LA. I biked to West LA. I did that for almost 15 years. I actually started riding my bike to West LA from Van Nuys in 1980. And then off and on, I've been transferred around the city, and I continue. And I have a love for bicycling, obviously, but I'm now sharing it with other people within the city. And basically, want it to be thought of as an alternate form of transportation. I can't tell you how much fun it is, and with Bike to Work Day coming up in just a week, I would just like everybody here to consider trying it one time. If you try it once, all the mental barriers, if it's too hard, it's too dangerous, I'm going to be hot and sweaty, you'll be able to deal with those. And I did that 26 years ago, and I still do it. I can't say I do it every day, but pretty regularly. At least twice a week, I'll be riding my bike to or from work. And it helps fight the battle of the bulge, and it's really the only practical way that each of us can help fight the high cost of gas. If you find another way to deal with it, bicycling is a good way. Using alternate transportation. When I work downtown, it's a long ways to where I live in Chatsworth now, 35 miles. And what I've been doing for the past 6 months is I ride home once or twice a week. No, I don't ride back in the morning. I take the train back. So using multi-modes of transportation really provides a great opportunity to use alternate transportation. So consider that, and I hope to see some of you out on the road next week. And please, do it safely, using a bike helmet, and do not ever think that you have the right of way in a bike, because you don't make a good argument for a car. I give cars the right of way, even though it's mine, and that's helped keep me safe for these 26 years. Thank you for this.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Smith and Mr. Rosendahl. Our next yes, Mr.
Ron,
Labange.
congratulations to you and Father, everybody right there, Mr. Smith, Mr. Rosendahl, but always Alex Baum. I always got to shout out Alex Baum, the great advisor to Mayor Bradley, Mayor Reard, Mayor Hahn, now Mayor Villaraigosa, I hope, on Bikes Affair. Give Alex Baum a big hand. Michelle Mowry, too, the bike coordinator.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Perry for a presentation, and I believe our last presentation of the morning.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'd like to invite Thomas Bond II, Frank Marks, Daryl Mapson, Zachary Shore, Paul Siegel, and you want to bring your mom up? Yeah. Okay. Pauline Bond, mother of Thomas Bond, will join us in just a minute. I'm very proud to have representatives from the American Mutoscope and Biograph Company, the oldest movie company in America, established in 1895. Biograph's history in Los Angeles goes back to 1906, when the movie, A Daring Southern California Holdup, was made. On April 18, 1906, the San Francisco earthquake struck. The American Mutoscope and Biograph Company sent out company representatives to obtain footage of the earthquake and to film its aftermath. During this period, Biograph executives decided to set up a permanent presence for the company in downtown Los Angeles, which they did at 2623 West Pico Boulevard. Then soon after established a movie lot at Girard and Georgia Streets, now the site of the Los Angeles Convention Center. From 1906 on, the American Mutoscope and Biograph Company kept its presence in Los Angeles, being the first known motion picture production company there in 1906. That same year, the American Mutoscope and Biograph Company produced several films there, the first one being A Daring Southern California Holdup, and this is regarded as the first film produced in Los Angeles. Now, the American Mutoscope and Biograph Company intends to take an active part in the restoration of historical downtown Los Angeles and to help promote in the district tourism and to bring back the legendary grandeur of this magical place. Because of Biograph's unparalleled history in the city of Los Angeles and its relocation back to downtown, I wanted to take this opportunity to welcome them home and join in celebrating their 100th anniversary in downtown Los Angeles, 1906 to 2006. This is an historic day that the first movie company in Los Angeles has returned to its beginnings, and we are proud to have them back. So let's officially welcome them and congratulate them as they celebrate their 100th anniversary.
Thank you, Shannon. I want to thank everyone at the City Council and the City of Los Angeles, my hometown where I was born and raised. I'm so proud to be a member of this city. I do want to acknowledge two members of our company that are missing today. My dad, Tommy Bond, who was in the Little Rascals, any Little Rascals fans out there, and my aunt, Mary Ellen Sennett, who is an actress. They both passed away this last year, and they were an integral part of this company. And this day and this certificate is dedicated to them. I also want to thank Councilmember Jan Perry for the wonderful honor that we have today from our wonderful city. And we are going to absolutely be in downtown LA and promote our wonderful city that we call our hometown. And as Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz said, there is no place like home, and we love LA, and thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Perry. We're glad to have you home. Madam Clerk, first order of business.
Madam President, this is the time for comments from the public on items not on council's agenda.
Take our first card from those in the valley. Bruce Darian.
Yes,
We could hook up to the
My name is Bruce
City
Darian.
Hall. Good morning, Bruce.
Okay, thank you. Once again, I'm here to talk about the Malibu Pier, the Los Angeles River, Malibu Canyon, the lid that's been put on all of the fraudulent contracting over the last 7 years regarding Malibu Pier, how it connects with Los Angeles River and Malibu Canyon, how the EPA, the federal government, both the FBI and the United States Department of Justice have put a lid and covered up the public contracting fraud in the millions of dollars that have been stolen from the public. Now, Attorney General John Ashcroft was empowered under the False Claims Act to investigate, thoroughly investigate, and to prosecute upon a determination if it was beneficial to the United States. Now he has a presidential position with Pepperdine University, who is one of the defendants in the False Claims Act suit in the United States District Court. I have been thwarted on every level of government in disclosing how the public has been cheated out of millions of dollars, and I explained to the public that I would weekly explain how the public was cheated at the Malibu Pier, and I'll be specific here once again. Last week I spoke how the depth of the pilings were falsified to extract tens of thousands of dollars from the public by way of adding lengths that are not there, i.e. one length would be 35 feet. In the same row of the pier, they said it's 42 feet right next to it. It's not possible. The bedrock is not cratered, and there's no place for that pile to be 42 feet. The piling, the payroll by Superior Gunite and Accent Builders on Saturday payroll in itself on its face is completely fraudulent, as there was no Saturday payroll. DCA, Superior Gunite have falsified the piling logs. Fife Company has falsified in the wrapping, both in the material that they used and in the lengths, because the lengths of the pilings were falsified. And it gets much deeper into the cover-up of the pollution to Los Angeles River by way of Tapia discharging through a pipe connected to the Los Angeles River. I don't know where I'm at in time right now.
You actually are just, the buzzer just went off, so if you could conclude, please.
I will. I appreciate the opportunity once again to use your Van Nuys facility, and I'll be here next week. Thank you, and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Bruce. Sochi Lujan, our next public speaker.
Hello, City Council members. My name is Sochi Lujan. I'm with the Chicana and Chicano Studies Alumni Association at California State University, Dominguez Hills. I'm here today to speak about the South Central Farm. and the integral role that you need to play in order to save this 14 acres of space. Yesterday, we had many community organizations come out in support of the farm. One of those organizations was UTLA, who also recognizes the benefits of the South Central Farm in utilizing it as a place where students can learn, and also to utilize it for K through 12 standards that need to be met by credentialed teachers for students in order for them to graduate. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I don't have very many of your attentions, and there are a few empty seats, so I just want to also put that out there. It's very important that you take a stance, ladies and gentlemen. You have signed resolutions to give awards to people, each and every city council member, including the mayor, who we have not really heard any support from anyone in regards to this farm. You say you support green space. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a time to act upon your words, to save this farm for the community, this 14 acres of green space. The time is for action, and the time is now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Valente Diaz. Valente Diaz, Lucila Delgado, Helen Salazar, Gonzalo Gomez, Alberto Tlatoa, Rosa Romero,
No habrá un intérprete que venga. Por favor, si pudieran ayudarme porque no sé hablar el inglés. Yo creo que ya me conocen. Mi nombre es Valentín Díaz.
I think you already know me. My name is Valentín Díaz.
Represento a los campesinos de Sur Central,
I represent South Central Farm,
41 y Alameda.
41st and Alameda.
Mi objetivo de estar aquí hoy es
My objective to be here today is
para pedirle ayuda al señor presidente,
to request help from the President,
señores concejales.
council members.
La razón es
The reason is
que necesitamos completar fondos
we need to gather funds
para nuestro jardín.
for our farm.
Yo creo que ustedes pueden
I
ayudarnos.
think that you can help us.
Por favor,
Please,
la ayuda es monetaria.
we need monetary help.
Consulten con sus amigos,
Talk to your
amistades.
friends.
Hay mucho dinero que ustedes pueden colectar
There is a lot of money you can collect
para ayudar
to help
a comprar nuestro jardín.
to buy our farm.
No lo estamos quitando, lo estamos comprando.
We are not getting rid of it, we are purchasing.
Según sé, nuestros líderes,
Our leaders,
y según sé que ustedes también lo saben,
and I know
la
that you already
necesidad que
know
tenemos
the need we have
para comprar nuestro jardín.
to buy our farm.
Por favor,
Please,
si me equivoco en algunas palabras,
if I
si me
make a
equivoqué,
mistake saying some
les pido
words, or if I make a
disculpas,
mistake,
por
I
favor,
apologize.
hagan algo por nosotros.
Please do something for
Ahora
us.
que lo
Now,
estamos pidiendo
Now that
diferente.
we are requesting in a different way,
Por favor, señor presidente.
please, Mr. President,
¿Y por qué no al presidente Bush?
and also why
Para que
not
nos
President
ayude.
Bush to help us,
Por favor,
please,
y les pido disculpas.
and I apologize.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, City Council members. My name is Alberto Platoa, a South Central farmer. May 22nd, it's going to be a historic day for the city of Los Angeles. That day, the city of Los Angeles and the world will see how this body is going to work in trying to preserve the 14-acre oasis in South Central. After 3 long years of struggle, the Trust for Public Land intervened and secured an opportunity to save the South Central farm. Within the confines of its sensitive purchase agreement, an opportunity has provided to purchase the farm for stakeholders in the city and Los Angeles community. Without the help of donors, both major and minor, the South Central Farm is in doubt. The fate of the South Central Farm, we do not know the fate. We need your help. We have less than 9 days left to fundraise to purchase this property for the community. We are calling on elected officials to dig deep in their coffers and offer a financial resource to help secure this site for future generations. We know that these are lean times, but this is a great opportunity to secure a site that has impacted those who need it the most, in the citizens of South Central and the surrounding community. It is no secret that those who are impoverished suffer the greatest from malnutrition access to high-quality produce. This community project has been acting as a safe net, not only for those people who work the land, but also the surrounding community. The South Central farmers subsidize the food supplied for the surrounding communities. The community has a place where they can come and acquire higher quality produce because there is no Trader Joe's in South Central. The South Central Farm offers a real improvement to the jungle of warehouses that currently exist in South Central Los Angeles. People in this community live in high density, and it's very beneficial for the community because it gathers grandparents, parents, children, where they could interact with each other and create greater bonds. This is a fundamental project that should be preserved, and we're just calling up you that we need your help to preserve this land for the community. It's much necessary space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tlatoa. Please.
Hello, my name is Rosa Romero. I work with the students and teachers that come and visit the South Central Farm. Each week, there's at least 1 or 2 schools that come and do tours at this, the largest urban garden in the United States, and I think it's very essential and a very important place and a resource that we could come together and preserve. A lot of schools have actually done after-school bake sales and been selling fruit at the Sequoia School in Pasadena to help raise funds. Also, the Accelerated School has done a benefit concert to help raise funds. USC urban planning students have put together fundraisers. There's a lot of people coming together to save this place, and I think that as our representatives, we call on you to come forth and support your Los Angelinos. Thank you.
Anybody else like to step forward? Also Samuel Sanchez. Anybody else from South Central Farmers before we go to the other? Please feel free. Could you just state your name for the record again? Thank you.
My name is Dele Aileme from the International Community for a Green Los Angeles. A shameful history is unfolding in this city today. That at a time when the rest of the progressive humanity is moving towards cleaner and greener spaces, under the watch of Mayor Antonio Verragosa, and in District 9, under Councilwoman Jan Perry, the largest urban farm in the United States is about to be thrown out, is about to be destroyed, is about to be bulldozed. The world is watching. We call on the mayor of this city to match his rhetoric, his philosophy of greener LA with action by saving the South Central farms. In a matter of 10 days from now, about 350 families with thousands of their supporters, those who use that land for green space, those who get fresh foods from that farm, those who harvest medicinal plants from that farm, the work that has been done for 14 years to cultivate that land, the labor of the single women, of the grandmothers who toiled and tilled that land is all about to be wasted. We know that some city council members have expressed support quietly for the farm. I will not call it conspiracy of silence, but I call on you today that it's time for you to break the protocol of silence. Let record have it that you spoke forcefully on the side of history, that you supported the South Central farms. It is a shame that you can say you claim to be fighting environmental racism, that you are for a greener LA, but under your watch, the City Council of LA at this time, that the largest urban farm in this city is about to be destroyed. Please do not let it happen. Do not let this be part of your legacy. Let it be said that you did everything that you could to save the South Central farms.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Our next speaker then will be Michael Carrion.
Yes, my name is Michael Carrion, and I live in the 14th District. Ms. Gruel, I mentioned to you a while back that you wanted to raise the price of the parking tickets, and this is Temple and Main Street, city vehicles, people who have expired plates just to park wherever they want. They're all parked in the red. More city vehicles. They have just these plates that they put on, police, city mileage vehicles. They're not exempt from parking in the red. Right outside across the street, there's no media parking only. Another city vehicle parked there. City vehicles are getting warnings. They're not getting parking tickets. Mr. Rosendahl, who else is on that board? Mr. Wesson and Mr. Labange, you might want to look at these too. Another city vehicle parked in front of a bus stop. The parking enforcement won't cite them because they have E-plates. Right here, there's 14 cars parked across the street with all parking permits. Some are expired. They won't get tickets. They're not supposed to park within a block from their work. They say for emergency parking only. It's not an emergency to go to work. Here you got official mileage placards that are expired. They're still not being cited. If anybody wants a copy of these, I got them here on disc, and they can have these copies if they need them. It's unfortunately that the city is in dire need for money, but you shouldn't penalize just the public while your employees are running amok of the system. You should have your employees accountable for their actions. The city should not be exempt from these things. They should be accountable. You get a ticket, it comes back to whoever had that car that day. Take it out of their check or make them pay for it. If I drive a company vehicle, I'm responsible for it. I have to pay for the parking ticket that I get at that time. The city employees are exempt from them. Mr. Rosenthal, if you'd like a copy of these, I'd like to give them to you. Seems like you're the only one that has the courage to attack these things.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carrion. Our next speaker is Eric Carling. Eric Carling. Be followed by Felicia Ford, and then Mitchell Moore. Please.
Hello, yeah, my name is Eric Carlini. Yeah, I'm a representative of the South Central Farm, and I live in the community. And I wanted to just stress to you guys, we have 9 days to where the court is going to give control to the sheriff's department, and we're here, pleading to the council here that we need some help with this situation. We need some community support. I mean, we're here, we're part of the community. This is like a beautiful green space and the greener of LA, and we're asking for your support. We know you guys have leverage. We've been trying to deal with the mayor, lots of different people in the council. Everybody says they're working on it, they're trying to help, but it's like the fact is that we have 9 days, and it's supposed to be shut down, and they're gonna build what, Walmart Distributing Center. And so I just would like to ask for you guys to, consider what's going on in South Central, 41st and Alameda, 14 acres, the biggest urban garden in the United States. And what are we going to do? Let it go? Oh, all right. So I have 2 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you guys, I don't know what you guys, plan on doing with the situation, but it's real important, Mahoney was talking about the immigration, and he's talking about how, he's for immigration rights and everything, and I know how they're backing this, and he's for the work system, I don't know. Well, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony. Welcome, Ms. Ford. Next, we have Mitchell Moore after that. And then, yeah.
Hello, I'm Felicia Ford, president of Woodlawn Memorial Park Foundation. Happy Mother's Day. It's unfortunate that we separate God's children. we separate them by color. And of course, we're celebrating Mother's Day this weekend. Unfortunately, those of us that have buried our loved ones, such as our mothers and our grandmothers and our aunts, we can't go to a cemetery at this particular time where we buried our loved ones because it's a massive destruction. I tried to buy Woodlawn Cemetery 5 years ago, and I've been back and forth with the government trying to get this cemetery so that when we would, on any given holiday or any given day, that we would have the opportunity to go and visit our loved ones. For some reason or another, the government doesn't want us to have beautiful park benches, waterfalls that flow. Every name of anyone that's buried in Woodlawn Cemetery, their names inscribed in a monument. When I come back here, I have a lot to say, but I want to talk to Steve Cooley, the district attorney. I want to talk to Bill Lockyer, the Attorney General, and I want to talk to Governor Schwarzenegger. The Woodlawn family members have a message for all of you. It is unfortunate that we keep falling to our knees behind a cemetery, and I keep struggling to try to find out, what do you want with Woodlawn Cemetery? For 6 years, it's been destruction. And the most of the people that are buried there are blacks and Hispanics. And I am really struggling to try to figure out, what do you want with this cemetery? You made $16.5 million off of my dead grandmother, and I call her Mama. I have 2 grandmothers in there. The backbone of my family is in that cemetery, and I have helped thousands of Woodlawn family members. I tell you folks, it's a struggle when I come here. I know my time is up. Unfortunately, I didn't get to read what I needed to say.
If you'd like to give it to the Sergeant at Arms, we'll make sure it gets circulated.
Thank you for offering that, Mr. Garcetti. Unfortunately, I only have 1 copy, but I will...
We'll make a copy for you and give it back to you.
Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
Mitchell Moore? Oh, no, that's actually for the budget, I'm sorry. Not yet. Mr. Moore, I'm sorry. I thought it was for general public comment. That, and then our last card is Craig Keene. If Craig Keene would like to speak? If not? Okay. Thank you. That closes our general public comment. I'm sorry, yeah, why don't you come forward? Just give us your name.
Sorry.
No, my
I
apologies.
actually submitted a card to request to speak for public comments to the officer.
No problem. Why don't you just give us your name and go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Yvonne Michelle Autry. I live here downtown, and I've been a resident of the downtown area for about 3 years. First, I want to say Happy Mother's Day and acknowledge all the ladies every day, and gentlemen. But I had originally wanted to speak about the regentrification of the downtown area because I am a resident of downtown, and I was here Wednesday with LA Can, but you only allotted 10 minutes, so I didn't get a chance to address the council because this will undoubtedly be raised again. There's been a stay, so we're not being evicted. Again, the regentrification is not only racism, but it is obviously economic discrimination because we're largely minorities, and the corporations are buying out the commercial buildings, the hotels, SROs. I live in Hayward Apartments, and I'm going to make sure that the rest of the residents, as well as myself, gets relocation fees because it's an obvious, overt attack on people that either lack resources to defend themselves or the information. And I have information, and the resources are available. So again, I just want to bring that out so that this continued kind of coercion and harassment of minorities, physically challenged people, senior citizens does not continue to occur. I'd also like to address the situation about the South Central Farm. You talk about the programs to benefit the youth. You have a grassroots natural program here that the youth are involved in, and you're not even protecting or defending it. That's the first, I think, obvious hypocrisy that I see. This is a farm that the youth, seniors, people of all ages are involved in, and why aren't you protecting it? Because Walmart is going to pay you more money? I think that's horrible hypocrisy, horrible. Horrible. You've just given awards to people because, they've implemented and they've provided programs for the youth. Here's a natural occurring program that the people, you see, have originated, and you're not protecting it. I'm a vegetarian. There are no Wild Oats, Trader Joe's, or Whole Foods in our areas by design. And I think that it's your duty and obligation to defend these people and allow them their space. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That closes our general public comment. If we can go to the first item on the agenda, please.
First item on the agenda, Mr. President, is item number 1.
Item number 1, that was called special for cards.
Yes.
All right. I'd like to take up general comments on this. We have one person out in Van Nuys. We'll go there first. Michael Cohen from the Reseda Neighborhood Council will be our first speaker, and then we'll come to speakers here in the audience. We'll set it, I'm sorry, at 1 minute just to try to get to as many of these cards as possible in our 10-minute public comment. Mr. Cohen.
Yes, thank you. The mayor wants you to approve a budget in the city and have homeowners pay what he considers their share of trash collection. Should not all residents, owners, or renters pay their fair share of the city providing services? No subsidies except for the most indigent. I had a conversation with Greg Smith several months ago concerning how do we fund clean money, and one of the things mentioned was the city subsidizes the rent control ordinance. It costs $22 million a year. Isn't that not a fitting fair share that they should pay as well? Rosemary Ibanez of LAHD, that's the Los Angeles Housing Department, says that the Los Angeles housing stock is over 50 years old, whereas the statewide, it's 37% of single-family homes were built before 1950. In Los Angeles, it's over 50%. Although it's true many homes have appreciated in value, most homeowners are actually quite cash poor, especially if they bought anything recently.
Thank you very much.
And the older homes require quite a bit of maintenance.
Thank you. If I can ask you to wrap up, please. Thank you.
Yes, I would ask you to reject the increase on trash fees, which have been increased twice in the past, unless we're going to look at all city expenses and look at making everyone pay their fair share. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Nestor Vasquez here in Council Chambers. Mr. Vasquez.
Good morning. My name is Nestor Vasquez. I'm here because you guys decided to take some instruments that we really need. I first discovered my love of music 2 years ago when I started taking music classes at my middle school. A year later, I started playing guitar, which brings me to this point. I know and appreciate all that you're doing, and I know that you're very busy. But we would greatly appreciate it if you would give us back the instruments that you let us use last summer. I know what it is not to have enough instruments, because that's how it happened in middle school. We had to share a set of 30 instruments between 60 students, and we really need these instruments. They would be of great help for this program that is greatly growing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mitchell Moore.
Good afternoon. Last year I stood before you. Some of you might remember that I brought a young man from Heart of Los Angeles Youth, Mr. Reyes' district, and we're right on the border of Mr. Wesson's district, right across from Lafayette Park. We stood here with the young man that played saxophone, Dustin Barrera. And thanks to Music LA's experience last year, Dustin was able to get a new saxophone, was able to go to Colburn School this year on a full scholarship. Dustin sat #1 first chair sax in the All California Youth Band this year, and a lot of this has been through the support of Music at Heart of Los Angeles Youth. I have heard from our meeting with Cultural Affairs 2 weeks ago that it doesn't look like we're going to have Music LA this summer. And I think it's pretty ironic that one of the things that people will walk away from this meeting with today, and the memory of this meeting, aside from Happy Mother's Day, was the beautiful young lady that sang our national anthem. And we would ask that you reconsider and you think about the inner city kids that need music in their lives and support the Music LA initiative.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. Stan Sosa? Stan Sosa here? If not, we'll go to Holly Enriquez. Ms. Enriquez here? If not, go to Yvonne Michelle Autry. Ms. Autry? Okay, Sylvia Hawkins, the next speaker.
Good morning, everyone.
We are asking all the police officers to be aware of the travel plan of transportation of trucks from cemetery to hospitals here in Los Angeles to back to overseas areas, dealing with transplants, organs, parts after death. These things are happening because we are destroying their leader, Charlie O, whom is Dr. Wanda A. Davis Turner, as Hussein Hussein, and Dr. Wanda as Bishop Charles Blake, whom will never return again. At this time, we're asking no one to use any surgery, organ remover, or cosmetology face lips because of other leaders that are here that is working for them, or Charlie O and President Put. They are now sending in the United States of America and from overseas poison medicine to destroy everybody's skin to make them ugly. They are also using steroids and embalming fluid to freeze their face to suffocate the rich people breathing.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your testimony. Our next speaker is Jim McQuiston.
Jim McQuiston, East Hollywood Community Association. I think you all have my statement. I hope you all have. There are 4 points. I basically support the budget as the Budget and Finance Committee has evolved it. There are 4 things that need to be fixed, but we have to remember this is just a budget. It's not written in stone. We have a whole year to fix it. And I have to compliment the CLA and the CAO as very diligently working on it. First of all, the $163 million from cell phones and $270 million in all may be taken away from us by the Congress, and that is a big chunk of money that we're going to have to look at in the year. Second, the household refuse budget collection is something that we have to do, but it's too little. It has to be more. Third, we have to distinguish between the sanitation equipment charge and the trash fee.
Thank you,
They're
Mr.
two
McQuiston.
separate items. Don't get them confused.
Thank you, Mr. McQuiston. I can ask you to
And
conclude.
the fourth item, I must say, Teams 2 is not in the budget, and it's got to be in the budget. It's just a terrible thing to put before the
Thank you, Mr.
judge
McQuiston.
without Teams 2 in the budget.
Our next speaker is Luis Rodriguez.
Hello, good day. I'm Luis Rodriguez. I am founder of Tia Chucha's Cafe and Centro Cultural. The Centro Cultural is a nonprofit cultural center in the 7th District, Alex Badia's district, and I'm here in support of the Music LA program. Last summer, we had several classes and workshops and instruments and guitars and Aztec dancing and jarocho music and traditional music through the Music LA programming. It was one of the most fundamentally important artistic acts that we could have done in that community, which, as some of you know, is a very isolated community, does not have a lot of arts and cultural programming. Of course, we do have the support of Alex Badia, and we do want to continue getting the support of all the members of the council, but I really want to say that the Music LA program in some kind of way needs to be supported. Music is vital for youth, it's vital for change, and it's vital for our communities and families. So please do whatever you can to support Music LA in the city of LA, in our neighborhoods. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Johnny Rotella is next.
My name is Johnny Rotella. I'm a musician, songwriter, and I live in Van Nuys, Ms. Gruhl's territory. I came here this morning because I knew you were going to vote on the police, the 1,000 policemen, and on the backs of property owners. And I think the whole idea is so wrong because you don't charge property owners for 1,000 policemen. It's not a private squad. The policemen are there for everybody. So there must be ways of you people increasing the police force, and you don't do it on just one group of people. It's discriminatory. It's not thought out. It's completely wrong. Now, I'm sure all of you own property. You have houses. It's the wrong way to put it. You're going to put a tax, a sales tax. The point is, you're not going to hire 1,000 policemen at one clip. If you hire 100, another 100 as you go along, there's money around in Los Angeles that would pay for it without doing this. I think it's a wrong bill. It's a wrong timing. And I want to thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much, sir. Our last speaker is Pat McCosker.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Just want to start by saying, thanks to the mayor's office, to the CAO, to the budget committee, everybody that worked on this budget. I think it's a great budget, very courageous. By the way, I want to say that we very much support reducing the subsidy for property owners regarding trash pickup for public safety and for police officers. I think that's a great idea. We need the police officers. One thing I will say on that, though, is I've heard the discussion over the last couple of weeks. I've heard people talking about the need to put it in a lockbox so that we hire those police officers. I think that would be the wrong approach. I think that, I trust all of you to make that your number one priority and to add those police officers as you can. I'm concerned that if you can't add them as fast as you project, that you wouldn't then use that money for other worthy public safety programs like fire programs and paramedic programs. So I hope you'll consider that. That's the first thing I want to say regarding the fire department's budget. It's a good budget. We didn't lose ground, and we've seen that before in years past where we're going to add more cops, and so we took from fire and paramedic services. That would be wrong. It didn't happen here. Some good things in here for firefighters, but I will discuss with all of you in a future time a couple of items that I'd like to see you add to this budget as you move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCosker. That closes our public comment for today on this. If we can have staff come forward. And Mr. Parks, we have the budget before us, and I ask the staff to come forward, but
Thank you.
I'll let you be our MC from here.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We have the city staff and from the CAO, the mayor's office, and CLA, and we just like to present the budget to you today. It is a long and laborious process, as many as you know, in getting this to this point. Our intent is to have discussions amongst the council on Tuesday and not discuss it today. We took public comment today. But it's important that everyone be prepared on Tuesday, have read the document and go through it. There's at least 160 report backs that came back to the committee, and you'll see as you go through the budget the number of footnotes that are in the budget asking for additional information. One thing, I'll just take liberty because I have the mic, that to explain the one issue on Music LA that someone brought up. The committee basically asked the department to do several things. It was not a denial of Music LA. It was a matter of that the budget process has to be repaired so that we can then make a decision, and those things are in process. So that's the only item I'll comment on because we had a public comment about it. I want to thank the committee for all the hard work. I think we were here at least one night to 10 o'clock. We found Mrs. Gruel's, 2 nights, 10 o'clock, I'm sorry. Mrs. Gruel's son is now shaving, and she didn't know that. And so that's how long she was away from the house. But just say that it's going to be, hopefully, as we go through it, next week, we'll use somewhat of the same format we used last year. We can go down the line on the pages, call specials that we need, but approve what's remaining. And also, we'd hope that everybody would plan to be here to the length of time necessary to get through the budget for Tuesday, so that you plan your schedule around it so we can get this out and everybody has a role. The other thing we'd ask for those who have a number of issues that they'd like to bring up, like we did last year, which we thought was successful. You put motions in, we get them in the committee, but we try not to tear the budget up itself on the floor, but get this document moving and allow individual issues that may be district-oriented to be dealt with in committee during the subsequent year, and also deal with it on the monthly status report. So those are the things we'd ask to set some framework so we don't go into the budget and start all over again, because we've done several dozen hours of questions, and anyone that wants to review those report backs, those 160, you can see almost every question imaginable was asked of the different departments, and the CAO was very diligent in getting those back in responses. Some of them create work for other committees during the year. And I think before, one thing we'll ask Bill on Tuesday to give you some idea of his extensive summer work program that he is taking on to deal with a number of issues that many of you brought to our attention are relevant as it relates to the organization of departments, the deployment of departments, the auditing of departments. Those things on larger issues are part of the CAO's summer work program that he will be dealing with. And Bill, we'll ask you to maybe comment on that on Tuesday to tell everyone what some of the things that you'll be looking for. Mr. President, let me ask Lynn to give us an overview of what we can expect Tuesday, and then we can move forward on this and again get ready for the Tuesday deliberations.
Yes, I'm Lynn Ozawa from the Chief Legislative Analyst's Office. On Tuesday, you're going to be having a regular council meeting at 10 o'clock. The budget consideration will be a special meeting, which will follow the regular meeting. Unlike other items that you consider in council, the CLA will be writing every single motion that you would like to introduce. So we would appreciate it if you do want to make requests for information or have some minor modification to the budget, that you send your questions to the CLA office. You could send it to my attention, and we'll be sure to have those motions prepared for you. The way the day will run is you'll first go through the committee report and vote on those items. Then you'll go into the individual motions, which you'll either adopt or refer to a committee for further consideration. And as the chair said, we hope that every effort can be made to get through the entire budget on Tuesday. Thank you.
Well, I'll just make real brief comments. As the councilman stated, we have a number of very comprehensive studies planned for this summer that will address the, I believe, the mutual goal of identifying efficiencies or just better ways of doing our city work. I do want to recognize, and I know we'll do this probably Tuesday, but again, the work of the CAO staff and putting this budget together. But most importantly, I want to recognize and highlight the relationship we have with your CLA staff in putting this budget together, because I do believe, and until the day I leave this city, that the city benefits through having a strong relationship with your CLA and CAO offices. So I just want to make that plug. But we'll be ready with a comprehensive list of all the studies on Tuesday.
Very good. And Karen, certainly take that opportunity from the mayor's office.
Yes, we would just like to say that we are in support of the Budget and Finance Committee report, but we would respectfully request the opportunity to make a longer statement on Tuesday.
Very good. Well, colleagues, I think we could just move this till Tuesday, be prepared, hopefully, in going through it, get it all done in one day so we can set our schedules. And Mr. President, we'd ask that the regular agenda for Tuesday be as minimal as possible, if that's possible.
It already is, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
It is made so. Our next speaker is Mr. Rosendahl.
I just want to thank Bernard Parks for your leadership as chair of the committee. It was my first dealing with a budget, and to see the cooperation with the mayor's office, the CLA, CAO, and everybody else, but your leadership overall for all of us was well appreciated by me. Thank you, Bernard Parks.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, again, of course, we will be taking this up Tuesday, so if there's nobody else who wishes to be heard now, we will continue this until this Tuesday. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Next item, please.
Next items, Mr. President, items 16 and 17 were called special by Mr. Parks, and I believe he mentioned that he needs to be recused on these items. And also on item number 17, it is an ordinance, but that will go over for 30 days.
Okay. We'll allow Mr. Parks to recuse himself as we take up these two items. Yes, Mr. Labange?
Yeah, just for later direction, reconsider 13.
Yeah, we'll take that up after, that from last meeting, number 13. On item number 17, well, why don't we take up 16 first? Is there anybody who wishes to be heard on 16? If not, let's prepare the roll on 16 and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Now let's take up item 17. There's two cards from the public. Sylvia Hawkins is our first speaker, and then Pat McCosker.
Again, good morning, everyone. My name is Sylvia Hawkins. Since subsidized for retirees has now been deleted for elderly knowing the truth from all insurance policies, that is only for 8 to 20 people in management and not for workers in working and retiring for 10 to 25 years for any business is never to be seen again in the 20th century. All pension and union dues, and because of the new laws that has been changed since all money has been stolen since September 11, 2001, Tuesday, firemen, officials, and police officers should go to Harcourt 8 military routine now to be trained in. There will not be any retirement plan, but only $70,000 a month, $840,000 a year for all soldiers dead or alive. President Bush, we must say no to your health plan of only 20% is basically signed up or is on the plan. This plan style of paying is not enough reason for these insurance companies, firms, and brokers to remain in business. Thank you very much. My name is Ms. Sylvia Hawkins.
Thank you. Pat McCosker.
Thank you. Retiree health care is under attack everywhere you look, it seems like nowadays, and it's no different here in LA, and I have a concern about this. I spoke in front of the Personnel Committee, voiced my concern. Since that time, I've received some reassurance, but I just kind of need to go over it with all of you real quickly here. The reason that this is before you is because about a year ago, the voters passed a measure in LA here, and we supported that measure. The measure was designed to give you more control over retiree health subsidies because there was a long delay when retirees would get their subsidy increase relative to when it was due. And this was designed to make it happen faster, not to hold down the amount that retirees were due. Since that time, I'm concerned that this has come before you in an effort to control costs, to artificially reduce the amount of increases that retirees would get. You know, they have been in lockstep with what active members are getting. When we get an increase, they have been entitled to the same increase. And this looked like something very different to us. You're being asked to delegate to the fire and police pension this authority, but with the 7% cap. I was concerned about that. I spoke about it. I'm being, again, reassured in this case that what's going to happen here is that you all will still have the ultimate authority over this. In other words, if a larger increase is warranted than that 7% in any year because of the rising cost of health care, that I'll be able to, that Local 112 will be able to come before you and advocate on behalf of an appropriate increase for retirees, and that you'll have the ultimate say on this. I trust your fairness on this issue, but I want to make sure that you all know that seems to be what's intended by this, and I want to ask for your support in the future when an appropriate increase, a bigger increase than 7% is warranted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That closes public comment on that item. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
That item's been approved.
And Madam President, just for council's information, that is an ordinance that affects pensions, so that needs to go over for second reading, and the second reading will be on June 13th.
It'll be held over on June 13th for the second reading. Next item.
Next item is item number 29, and that was called special for a card from the public.
Ms. Sylvia Lynn Hawkins.
Good morning again. My name is Ms. Sylvia Hawkins. We are asking our superintendents of the school board to follow these instructions and not Mayor Varagas. All charter schools and regular schools must not be demolished or ordered. These schools must be used for detention school students. They have been kicked out of other order schools, whichever district. These school foods is from Muslim, Nazis, and Mason leaders, and not from the United States of America government. These kids are bad conduct of behavior. that are a revolving door to the jail cell. Their final destination will be the jail cell and not back out to recover on rich people money or checking account. This is the ending step for these children, which is death. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item's been approved. Next item?
Next item, Madam President, I believe Councilmember Labange wanted to reconsider an item from Wednesday's meeting. It was item number 13, and the council files 02-1720.
Do I give why I want to reconsider it now, or do I just ask for reconsideration? Ask for reconsideration.
Madam Clerk, open the roll on reconsideration, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item is
Great,
before us
thank you.
again.
Commander Bostic, the police department's here as a representative. This issue that we passed on Wednesday, I just wanted to make sure there was instructions, and I don't know if the CAO is here or the CLA is here. Vox, sit at the center table, will you, your CLA? I just want to make it a point here, if you would, please. And anyone for the CAO's office. This is the issue of the matter related to off-duty officers working under the auspices of the LAPD. You want to just explain the action we took Wednesday, Mr. Commander?
The action we took Wednesday was to approve the proposal of having the venues where we currently, through the Police Commission, allow uniform officers to work off-duty. And your motion approved the proposal of having those officers work on duty and having those employers pay the City of Los Angeles. It still needs to go to the CAO and CLA. And in talking to Councilman Labange, one piece that he is recommending that we do, that we're prepared to do, is meet with the 11 venue managers and just make them aware of what we're up to in the process so they know that it's coming. And then once the report comes back from the CAO and the CLA about how we would implement it, and if the council approves it, then go back to them with more facts in the future.
Yeah, basically, the amendment is to instruct the LAPD, the CAO, and the CLA to meet with the 11 venues to get impact. Some of them were not talked to, if at all, and I wanted to make sure they were involved in the process. So that's all the amendment. The matter is going forth through the Police Commission, correct, Commander?
Yes, it's gone through the Police Commission.
Right, it's gone through the Police Commission, so now it's within the CAO and the CLA. And I know Mr. Fujioka probably is not here, but you agree you'll meet with the director of the Hollywood Bowl, Greek Theater, Dodger Stadium, Coliseum, Staples Center. Where else, Michael, did I miss there?
There's 11 of them. I don't have them all with me.
Right, I just want to hear them so we call it out, so they will know that they'll be discussed with that there.
Got the list of the venues?
Captain, thank you. In the Hollywood Bowl, the Greek Theater, Dodger Stadium, Staples Center, Coliseum.
Okay, it would be, yes, Grand Olympic Auditorium, Greek Theater, Hollywood Bowl, Kodak Theater, Coliseum, Sports Arena, Staples Centers, and the Convention Center.
The Convention Center. Okay, so that would be very good. So I ask that we amend that just to instruct the CAO, CLA, LAPD to meet with them as they move forward. Ultimately, this is all going to come back to us, and it may take several months, but these venues wanted to make sure they were part of the discussion in this effort. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Mr. Weiss, yes, sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank Mr. Labange. Mr. Labange? Mr. Labange, that's you. Could you sit there with a vodka at the center table, Mr. Labange?
I would sit there, but Mr. Garcetti has a great constituent in Los Angeles here with us.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. We had some good discussions about this morning. I think the police department understands your concerns that these venues be brought in the loop. They've assured us that they'll do that. I just want to make very clear, if it wasn't made clear already, that this already has been a public process. This matter was before the Police Commission. They had public hearings on it. It was before the Public Safety Committee. There was a public hearing, and there's a public hearing here in Council. So it has gone on in public. Mr. Labange would like the department to talk further with the venues, and the department is going to, of course you're going to talk to the venues, and that's part of the process. So thank you, and let's...
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Mr. Weiss, and thank your staff, Mr. Weiss. So we're okay with that,
Friendly
Madam?
amendment to the original report.
Well, just an
Friendly amendment to the
It's more
original
than a
report.
friendly amendment. I want you, Maria writes it down. So sometimes
She writes them down friendly and
sometimes my
unfriendly.
friendly amendments don't make it all the way home. Okay.
Okay. So the item is now back before us with the amendment. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
14 ayes.
That item's been approved. Thank you. Next item.
Next item, Madam President, is item number 32, call special for a card from the public.
Ms. Sylvia Lynn Hawkins.
Before we continue to concerning spying and what is going on with our United States of America government and telephone communication requests, MCI, we must keep spying on these doctors. These doctors show up to show off without any school or hospital permission. They are only getting school knowledge of United States of America books, taken back to overseas, without ever returning. We must keep us spying on church members. These people are angry that our new anti-tourist laws has kicked them out of the United States of America, 58 states. These types of women's death is only dealing with religions, churches, and cultures of removing the remains of the body. No on cremation or sharing the ashes overseas or in any water or in any mausoleum. Because of what is happening with the bodies of children, men's and women's, we must say no on new board committee members for workers in each area and not districts, with new police officers and firemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That item is now before us. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
14 ayes.
That item's been approved. Next item.
Item number 34, call special for a card from the public.
Ms. Sylvia Lynn Hawkins.
This is the last one. Thank you for calling me so quickly. On number 34, as we get to our final destination or decision of agreements and contracts with our school boards, these answers should not be placed in the hands of any parents, judge, attorney, conservative, or principal. Concerning all schools must receive, starting from the 6th grade, 9th grade, 12th grade of graduation. From the 6th grade, there should be $600 in cash for every graduation. 9th grade, $900 in cash for all students. From the 12th grade, $1,200 in cash, with the 8 months rest period with diploma. Again, the 8-month rest period is to rest their minds from books, which we do not want our kids going too fast out of graduation of the 12th grade into college too quickly. We want them to have a rest period which is stamped on their diploma as a reward before entering any college, to make a decision if they want to go to military, if they want to drop out, if they want to get their tool ties, if they want to get married or work only. These new laws, again, will not allow them to go to any college until the 8-month rest period is completed, which is after graduation from the 12th grade. Again, I am against any kind of SAT test that is demanding them to know so much too soon. I am against any kind of completion halfway, now running with the, not the certificate, but back overseas, to be a doctor or a lawyer. Grabbing United States of America knowledge out of wise people that are Jewish from United States of America is stealing. Amen. So we are not, again, ready to ask anyone to complete so quickly. So please be patient with our students.
Thank you,
very
Ms.
much.
Hawkins. That was regarding a final track map in CD11. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
14 ayes.
That item's been approved. Next item.
The next item, Madam President, is item number 38.
Item 38, and that was, I'm not sure, it does not say here on the notes on who called that special. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I did want to call this special and thank my colleagues for allowing us to have this discussion, because I truly believe it reflects this critical path at being a historic time we have in our country. And as our Cardinal Mahoney has stated this morning, we need to make every gesture, every effort to make sure that we treat the city in a way in which everyone is equal, that we treat this process in such a way we understand that we need to be humane with our policies. It's been a long day, so I just want to share with my colleagues that I do support all of the CLA's recommendations. There is one recommendation that talks about not having any provisions for those that are here for less than 5 years. But I would like to concur with the CLA, but however urge support for an earned pathway to citizenship for all undocumented residents of the U.S. Reason being that if we start breaking up the population into subgroups, the tragedy would be that we start breaking up families. My constituents have made it very clear that we should not be living in fear, that we should be allowing our families to stay together, and so they all should have the ability to earn a pathway to become citizens. You know, I think of my parents when they migrated here. I have an older brother and sister who were born in Mexico. I was born here. If this law would have been applied, that would have meant that I would have been separated from my parents and my brothers and sisters. So I put myself in a place where thousands upon thousands, if not millions, are going to be suffering these hardships. And I ask you if that's humane to separate our families in that manner. So let's allow everyone to have an earned pathway to citizenship and establish a society that does acknowledge that everyone is created equal and that we are doing this in a humane way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rosendahl.
I just want to make a short comment, just a short comment. My parents were immigrants. You know, they think when they see a white person that, well, we've been here forever. We haven't. My parents came through Ellis Island, and they became citizens, and they raised 8 children in New Jersey. I'm first generation. It's as simple as that. And I think we should respect everybody that's here from all over the planet. We need to find a pathway to citizenship. We need to let the Congress of the United States of America know that this criminal notion that the House did about a felony was absolutely over the top and out of line and sick. And that my hope is that the Senate and the House come together in a reconciliation way and develop a pathway to citizenship for all of the folks in the shadow right now. It'll make our nation stronger. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Padilla.
Thank you. Colleagues rise to support Mr. Reyes in what he spoke of, and I'm not sure if there was a formal motion made or not, but if there was, I'm happy to second that to be an amendment to the committee report, which again are the principles that the City of Los Angeles will stand behind in this discussion and debate about immigration reform in the United States of America. I understand there's yet more evolvement when it comes to legislation being proposed at the federal level. I don't know if we want to necessarily go through each piece of legislation and what's good, what's bad, but at minimum, the committee report that's before us to be amended by Mr. Reyes' additional guiding principle here,
Yes.
I think would be good for us to act on.
Thank you, Councilman. But yeah, just for the sake of clarity, I'd like to support all the recommendations, however, add an amendment or a friendly amendment where we would urge support for an earned pathway to citizenship for all undocumented residents. That would be the only change, because we do have an existing report, a no recommendation on provisions. So in place of that, suggest and urge support for an earned pathway to citizenship for all undocumented. And it would be, to be specific, I know there's various CLA reports. The CLA report that is dated May 11th, assignment number 06050802, council file 060002S38, dated May 11th. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Padilla. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, rise in support of those as well. I would add two other things if Mr. Reyes and others agree to them. Senator Feinstein has two amendments. Most of her amendments are quite good, but I was wondering if we want to take a position. Basically, there's two things. In the past, she's been very good, I think, in terms of having a standard that would treat would say that we should deport anybody who has either 3 misdemeanors or 1 felony. The way that she's written the new amendment would be that anybody who has even 1 misdemeanor would be deported. And it would just be to be consistent with what she's had in the past. So I would put forward as an additional suggestion that as a principle that we would bar anybody with 3 misdemeanor convictions and 1 felony conviction. The second part is that it says spouses and children cannot legalize unless they are also working. We know in some families the children obviously are not going to be working and sometimes the spouses are not. It would be consistent to keep within the past to say we would oppose anything in which the spouses and children of undocumented workers cannot legalize unless they are also working. So I would put those two forward as well. I think those are reasonable ones. Yeah, to oppose anything that would do those two.
Mr. Cardenas, followed by Mr. Parks.
I just wanted to add to what Councilmember Rosendahl just pointed out, that this issue of immigration in general is not a Mexico issue, it's not a Canada issue, it's not a Europe issue, it's the world coming to this country. And that has been happening ever since this country was founded. Well, excuse me, this country was actually founded on people immigrating to this land. And I just want to share with you a very moving experience I had in the church that I go to. There's an opportunity where we make circles of 3 or 4 and we pray together, and each person asks the other person to pray for them on an issue. In many cases, it's somebody has cancer and they want us to pray for that person. Many issues, it has to do with they're looking for a job or what have you. And there was a woman about 5 foot tall who was praying with my wife and I, and she started to speak in very broken English, and she started to explain how she was here without documentation and that she wanted to pray that somehow, some way, she could get documentation to be here legally. And the thing is, as I explained that to all of you, I would think that most of you are thinking she was speaking in broken English and her primary language was probably Spanish. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. She was a woman who had very pale skin. She was a woman with much gray hair. She was a woman who was very, not frail health-wise, but in her elder years, easily in her 70s. And she was speaking in broken English because her first and primary language is Russian. And I did pray for her. And she did pray for me. And she prayed for my wife. My point to all of you is this. This is a human issue. And this country needs to understand, and this city needs to send a strong message to Washington and say to Washington, we need to keep in mind, this is not about elections. This is not about politics. This is not about religion. This is about us being consistent. That we're known around the world for the Statue of Liberty. And the Statue of Liberty is a welcome call to the world, to this great country, this prosperous place. The Statue of Liberty is not a statue that is a welcome call to you, but not you. To you, but not you. It is a welcome call to all. and we need to get our laws straight in this country, and we need to be consistent with the Constitution, and we need to be consistent with what we tell our students and our children, that we are a country of compassion, we are a country of fairness, we are a country of equality. So I just wanted to point out that all too often, this debate seems to point fingers at people to the south of us. And we need to get rid of that. We need to get that out of the dialogue, and then hopefully we can speak clearly about what is the compassionate and proper way to treat immigrants to this country fairly and equally.
Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say thanks to the CLA, a great deal of work, and now I have a much better comfort level that we actually know what we're for and against. And so I think it's taken a couple of months, but I think it's important that we're on the record, and the amendments today certainly are positive additions in the sense of the dealing with what crimes can and can't be prohibited. But I think it's important now that all of us can, as we go out in the community, can say this is what the City Council stands for, here are the issues that are most relevant to us, and there is no mistake. And so I just appreciate the CLA deciphering through those 4 or 5 different bills and finding out, on the one hand, what's important for our public safety and our issues of dealing with homeland security, and separating it out from those that appear to be punitive as it relates to any group of people, whatever border they may be coming through. So thank you very much to the CLA.
Thank you. Mr. Weeser.
Thank you very much. And colleagues, let me just say that I think we've gone through a very good process to come up with something that's rational and something that makes sense and puts into light the human element to this whole debate. And I would only hope that our colleagues at the federal government and Congress also take this approach, and they come up with something that's rational, something that's comprehensive. When we saw the thousands and thousands of people walking our streets not too long ago, they were asking for one thing: have a rational discussion, a human discussion, come up with something that's comprehensive and does just not take bites at what we see as a real issue on how we go forward with our immigration issue. So I think what we came up with is a good thing. The CLA, I want to thank them for the work you did on this. Comes up with something that kind of takes into account, as the city has voted on and approved and disapproved things along the way, and gotten a sense of where this whole collective city council stands on many of these issues. What I like too is that what we're looking at in Washington also takes into account the DREAM Act, something that would allow for those students who have earned their right to be in college to get assistance, financial assistance, to continue on and fulfill their dreams. We've had some very irrational policy and a lot of neglect on immigration policy throughout the decades. If this goes forward, it's not going to solve it. There's a lot more work ahead of us to do, but at the same time, it brings us to a rational, comprehensive approach to dealing with some of those issues that are in the forefront on the immigration debate. As often say, something that I really identify with. So when people ask me to even speak on, no matter what issue it is, we have those things that we like to identify ourselves with. I am proud to say that I'm an immigrant. I am proud to say that because of this country's willingness to take on people who are willing to come here to work hard, to be law-abiding citizens, to follow the rules, you would have a place in this country, and we will continue to support you as a human being, not because of where you come from, color of your skin, or what language you may speak. We need to continue that, and we can continue that if we continue on this path that will allow for an earned pathway for citizenship, that will allow for us continuing to say our immigrants are not criminals simply because of their status, who they are as an individual, and what they identify with. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Labange, followed by Mr. Parks.
Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to say a few things. I think it was important that the Cardinal was here this morning, and I forgot to mention to him in my little sermon back to him that I do believe in the Constitution of the United States, and I greatly believe in the separation of church and state, but not church and community or temple and community. And it's important that all those factors should be involved in what this discussion is all about people. And I love what everyone has said before me here, and as you just said, Mr. Weezer, this is really the start of the discussion. And as a little fan of history, I remember in the tragedy and the Depression when we deported Americans of Mexican descent right here from Los Angeles who were mainly a lot of brick makers out there at Simon's Brick, which used to be in Montebello. And if you ever look at a brickyard in somebody's backyard, they'll see a Simon's Brick stamp there, and it may have been by the labor of that American who happened to be of Mexican descent, who was deported in that scare in the time of the Depression. I also remember from my former council member, Mike Hernandez, we were chatting that the LAPD used to guard the border. Did you know that, Mr. Weezar? It was the Arizona border to keep the Okies out here in the 30s during the Dust Bowl from coming to Los Angeles. And they also used to go out to Pasadena in the 30s and 40s and take people off the Santa Fe train and put them back on the way to Chicago. But they don't do that anymore, nor they should. They should treat all people as Angelenos. Yes, there should be a path to citizenship. Yes, there should be a commitment. And yes, there should be order at the border. There should be security at the borders, both in Canada and in Mexico. We also should strengthen our State Department's effort and encourage them to look in our North American continent of how these countries are and help in this efforts here. Can you blame anybody for wanting to be here in Los Angeles, the greatest city in the world? No. But I certainly could blame the federal government for not having a great approach to dealing with people in a humanitarian way as they struggle through their lives to try to get to the, quote, promised land. And I think that was a song by Chuck Berry, and the plane did land in Los Angeles, because he started from Norfolk, Virginia. Tidewater 1409. Tell the folks back home this is the promised land calling and the poor boys on the line. Well, let's move forward and send a message to Washington. You like that song, Sharon. Let's move forward and send that message to Washington that there's something fair and equitable, and they do deal with the homeland security issues that are so important, but they do have order on the border. They do have an encouragement and a path to citizenship, because I think it's real important that we do that. And it has been probably 50 years. There was a little bleep recently, but 50 years since the federal government ever focused on this issue. And now hopefully they will and will take the right steps. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Mr. Parks.
Madam President, I just have a technical question. I'm wondering, how do we have the ability to move this today, but also keep it on calendar so that if something should happen over the negotiations on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, we have the ability to quickly go forward on the new issues as opposed to waiting and having to re-agendize and miss days that might be forthcoming? And so I just don't know the mechanics of it, but can we do that?
Ask the clerk in a couple of ways. I mean, familiar with one is we could do a Rule 23 on that day, specifically on those items that have changed, because that is something that has come up
Yeah, but
from
Rule
the
23s, we've gotten kind of
We've had some discussions lately about them, haven't we?
I was just thinking,
But
do we
some
have
of
the
those
ability-
actions,
yeah,
and I'll look to, yes, Mr. President.
So what I would suggest is you could keep some of the old motions that are here, which bring this, your motion, Mr. Reyes' motion. We'll move forward the CLA report, but keep the rest of that here.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that suggestion, Mr. Parks. Thank you, colleagues. That item is now before us. Good discussion, and I appreciate all the comments. Madam,
I'm sorry, and for clarification, that's the CLA report as amended by Mr. Reyes and Mr. Garcetti.
That is correct. All three amendments that were recognized. Yes, Mr. Reyes?
You will be including today's amendments.
Yes, we'll be including today's amendments. Okay. Madam Clerk, open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item's been approved. Thank you very much, all of you. Oh, Ms. Han, you want to be recorded as a yes vote on that? Ms. Han was here. She was predisposed. Ms. Han will be clear to be a 14-0. Thank you. Madam Clerk, any other items on the...
Madam President, there is a special meeting that has been agendized. Do you wish to recess the regular meeting?
Yes, we'll recess the regular meeting, go to the special agenda.
Cardenas, Gruel, Han, Weezer, Labange, Padilla, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti, 13 members present, and a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. First order of business.
First item on the agenda is an item for which public hearing has been held. It's a Trade, Commerce, Tourism Committee report.
Seeing no one asking to call that item special, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on this item. Close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item has been approved. Next item.
Next items are items for which public hearings have been held. Items 2 through 4, have not been held. 2 through 4, 10 votes are required for consideration.
That item is now before us. Madam Clerk, open the roll on that item, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
The item's been approved. Forthwith on number 2, please.
Okay, and that clears the desk for the special meeting.
Do we have number 2 and 3 forthwith?
Yes. Thank you. Do we have announcements? We're going to adjourn, we're going to adjourn the special agenda and now go back to the regular agenda. Announcements.
One quick announcement.
Yes, we were just going back to the regular agenda. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please do your motions.
There are motions for posting and referral.
Those are moved and referred.
Council also has excuses on the desk. Councilmember Garcetti requests to be excused Friday, May 26th for personal business that meets council policy.
Mr. Garcetti is excused.
And Councilmember Padilla requests to be excused Friday, June 23rd for city business that also meets council policy.
Also excused.
And that clears the desk.
Thank you. Announcements.
Real quick, Madam President, I just wanted to announce there were 700 workers at the Airport Hilton this morning who were suspended. I know Ms. Hahn was there, was actually roughed up by a security guard herself while representing her district in Los Angeles City Council and trying to get the workers back in. She's rushed over there, but I know that many of us are thinking of those workers right now, making sure that there haven't been any laws violated. It would seem to be initial brush, a improper action to suspend all 700 working employees, or many of the working employees there. So we want to thank Ms. Hahn for her activism there and let the public know about what's going on there too. Thanks.
Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much. I'm proud to announce this Saturday we're having a recognition of a number of students who have participated this year in the Princeton Prize in Race Relations reception. This is the first year we have had a winner here in Los Angeles. It's a national annual event. Gabriela Olguin is a 9th grader at Santee High School. This is an extraordinary student who looked at racial and ethnic tensions at this high school and saw an opportunity to make things better. While the school was on lockdown, Gabby planned several events, one of which was a Peace Week dedicated to uniting the campus. As a Princeton trustee, I've partnered with Princeton Club of Southern California to honor Gabby and her fellow candidates for the Princeton Prize in Race Relations. We're having the reception this Saturday, May 13th, at the Bradley Room at City Hall. I, along with another Princeton alum, Mr. Weiss, welcome you to this event.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much. Tomorrow is our annual Fire Service Day, where Los Angeles City fire stations will be open between 10 and 4. Several of them will have pancake breakfasts, great displays. There'll be one special one at Fire Station 86 in Toluca Lake on Vineland Avenue, just off the Hollywood Freeway, and also at Hollywood Fire Station 27 between 9 a.m. and noon, a pancake breakfast. Also, Mr. Parks is going to announce a big event in Exposition Park.
Well, Mr. Padilla is ahead of Mr.
just
Mr.
wanna make
Padilla,
sure-
do you have an announcement? Okay, Mr. Parks, I'm sorry.
Just make sure on the special agenda, we had number 2 and 3 were forthwith. Okay. Just have a couple of announcements. Number 1, tomorrow is the annual Revlon Run and Walk for women. It starts at the LA Coliseum in Exposition Park. At 8 o'clock, they have opening ceremony, 8:45, the 5K 9 at the 5K walk. This is an annual event that has over 50,000 people walking and running in the Exposition Park area, and so encourage anyone that's interested to come out and enjoy it. Also on the 13th, the first annual Cultural Renaissance Classic Photo Series will start at the Leimert Park, where such noted photographers, Gerald Wilson, Art Davis, will be a part of it, and it will be from 12 noon to 2 o'clock in the Arts Village. Also, over this weekend, we have the, not this weekend, but this coming up next week, the last meeting of the South Los Angeles Community Forum feedback meetings will be for Council District 8 on Thursday, May 18th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at Epic Center.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Mr. Reyes, do you have any announcements? Thank you very much. The clerk has informed me that we have lost a quorum, and as such, we are unable to do the adjourning tributes today. Am I correct in that? All right, so then I believe that we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.